business is booming, marriage is good, kids are good. Distinctly remember thinking, life cannot get any better than it is. I don't even know how. It's so good. Everything's so good. My life is too good. And it's a lot of ways, it's like, I was right. So, end of September, Katie started having some stomach pain that just did not go away. Went to the doctor trying to figure it out. I thought it was, acid, reflux. I mean, who knows? They're giving her some Tums, basically, and it's like, that's not going away.
Again, kind of shooting from the hip from this, just having conversation. I figured we could talk back and forth and just, get to know each other. Because realistically, we don't know each other that well. But do an introduction. Technically, what do you... do you mind if I just introduce you as Miles from church? I'll let you tell me what you do. And
that's totally fine.
I think that's
okay.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate this, man. This is absolute, just a humbling experience. Monica and I have this incredible opportunity to be able to talk with a friend from church here, Miles, and unique circumstances for us both, but here we are, and I believe there can be a lot of positivity coming out of situations that aren't so positive, and
having a different perspective on life. I think a lot of people need it.
Yeah. So real quick, if you want to just do an introduction of who you are and
Sure.
tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Well, my name is Miles Lewis. I grew up in Syracuse, so I've always been here my whole life. And me and my wife, who I recently lost to cancer, we had multiple businesses that we started. We are probably the East Coast's biggest Labradoodle breeder. We also have a flower farm called Petals and Bloom Farm, and a few other offshoot businesses that are a little bit smaller than those two, but also successful. And we have 4 kids, and that's the shortest version I can get of who I am. And and so here I am, still very fresh with my wife passing. It was a very, very short battle with cancer, only about 4 months from the first symptom until she succumbed to it. So, but yeah, boy, it's been a wild ride, and somehow I seem to have gotten a small following of people that want to hear the story again and again.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I'm in a place where I feel like I can share it pretty comfortably now.
Yeah, no,
even though it's fresh and recent. More recent that I can actually talk about it. I feel like, but yeah.
I think it's interesting having somebody else's perspective. And I remember first seeing your family and you from when we started going to church, and I just remember seeing your kids. I'm like, just the most beautiful family. Like, in just their dresses and
their little hats and just like picture perfect, like just beautiful and
it's just taking pride in just really awesome family. And I unfortunately never had the opportunity to meet your wife or get to know her, but I've talked to you a couple times, here and there, and I actually I'll start this off and we can go see where this goes. The first time I remember meeting you and listening to you at church talk, and I don't remember what the subject was, but I was very impressed with your ability to just stand in front of people and just very confident.
Yeah.
And it's funny because a few months going into church, it was spring of last year. I was driving to my kid's sporting event, and I decided to. Once we arrived to Camden, I was by myself, and I'm getting caught up here a little bit. I arrived to Camden, and my kid's sporting event was over, and I just so happened to be right in front of the church, and I thought it would be, a really good opportunity to just go there for prayer night. It was a Tuesday or Wednesday night, and I looked over while I was driving by, and I see all the cars in front of the church, and I'm like, man, it's meant to be. I just wasn't doing very good myself at this point in time in my life, and I walked into the church, and there's a little semicircle of people, and I remember listening to people talk, and I remember specifically listening to you, and you were talking about your dog business, and you were having issues with your dogs, and I told you this the other night on the phone, but I just remember thinking, I'm like, man, like, I wish his issues were my issues, and and it's not a fair thought, but I think if people knew the the things that the differences of adversity, they would be more understanding. But you can't really compare adversity. That's something I've learned in the last couple of years. But I remember very profoundly how nervous I was, and just how supportive everyone was at church that day. And I was very, I guess, nervous to talk in front of people. I think that probably would have been the first time, and unfortunately she wasn't there.
Yeah.
She was at the sporting event, I think, with the kids.
Yeah.
But, but anyway, I just wanted to say, like, that day was an incredibly important day in my life that I'll never forget. And then even more so, I just remember 6 months later or so being at church, and your Miles coming up in front of the church like he occasionally does to talk, and it was when you announced that your wife was sick. And it shook the ground that I walk on, or the fabric of my existence, I would say. And the most beautiful thing, given the circumstances, was just how confident you were, and how well spoken you were, and how strong you were. Little ice falling.
Yep.
I'll never forget that. And granted, obviously, doesn't mean you're not feeling pain, or you obviously care so much about your wife. And but I kind of want to talk to you about, like, how have you gotten there with faith specifically? Because
like, did you grow up with that, like, your whole life?
Yeah, not exactly. So I guess I'll try to keep my testimony kind of somewhat brief.
You don't have to.
You can
Say
whatever.
Yeah, we'll get caught up. So fine. I remember you coming that night, and the things we were talking about. I don't even remember when. At least a year ago, or close to it.
Spring of last year.
Okay,
would have been about.
Maybe it wasn't even that long ago. It felt like a while back, but I remember we were having some troubles. Like, people wanted refunds on dogs, and they just wanted to return dogs, and financially it was like difficult. And then there were other things in our life.
People need to know, like, these aren't just regular dogs, though. Like, because
Right.
that's what I thought. Listen to, I'm
Right.
like, oh, that stinks, but I didn't realize it's.
I think that's why you felt like that, and why you maybe feel like you need
And
to
I wasn't
explain
judging
yourself.
you,
'Cause
thinking, I just-
Oh yeah.
but-
Well, it is a little different, and
Yeah.
our dogs do sell for, and we breed and we train service dogs, therapy dogs.
a lot of hours and time.
Dogs for the rich and famous, pretty much. I mean, these are premium, oftentimes, premium dogs, and for the discerning customer. I expect them to get a really good service if they're going to pay a lot of money. So, I mean, our puppies are almost $4,000, and we offer trained dogs that range anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 plus.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to, return a dog and, hey, can I get a refund? It's like, I got to write a check for about $20,000.
Yeah. Right.
Sometimes it's like, well, when you get 5 of those in a week, like, that's pretty scary.
Yeah.
They weren't all that level, but it was, it was at a time when there were a lot of things happening at once, and
Seems to always
other
be that
family
way.
issues. It was like, how is this all happening in a 1 week span?
Yeah.
Oh, tell me about it.
Like, one dog in return, it's like, yeah, that happens sometimes. You can't please everybody, or they have some issue that's not even your fault at all. And but like 5 over the course of 10 days, it was like, what is going on in this world? And then more family stuff to add more stress, and it's like we felt like there has to be more to this, some spiritual aspect. Like, why is God allowing this to happen?
Yeah.
And even though it was very tough at the time, it's like, what's God going to do? Is there something better, something amazing going to happen? And we just sort of expected and waited and prayed about it. And it did not take much longer, but like one by one, every one of those problems turned out to be better than just a problem to deal with, but like the end result was somehow, it was more amazing. I mean, some of these dogs were returned. It wasn't the fault of them. I had to give them a refund. But I was able to like do a little more training. Turned out it was a great dog. We sold it for more money than the original refund, because we just put a little more value into it. Things like that happened. It was like, this is going to be okay.
Yeah.
Other issues, family type issues that was going on, it fixed itself very well. One of them was somebody actually wanted to sue us, which that is not common or typical. You know, it was like, oh my gosh, this is just more stress, and it was baseless. But it ended up just working in a way that I honestly shot in the dark, tried to solve it in a certain way, and in the end, the person was happy. We were happy. And then it was another dog. We ended up selling for even more. And they no longer wanted to sue us because, we tried to make the customer service aspect really good. I mean, I think people sometimes come out guns blazing or ready for a fight. And it's like, I haven't even disagreed with you yet.
Just
or even
calm
said
down a
I
minute
wouldn't do, I don't even know what you want first,
Yeah.
but you're telling me that you want to sue me. It's like, how about you just tell me what you'd like to have done,
Yeah.
and let's start with that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to be pushed over. I'm not just going to roll over to any request that's crazy, but it takes some skill and effort. But some of it is like, you just feel like, oh, thank you, Lord, that just worked out the way it did. But
Yes.
how do we get to that point? And getting to that point probably helped me in a lot of ways get through the most recent, tragedy and losing my wife, and just change my perspective. But so the short story, I grew up in Syracuse, typical, pretty, I'd say, normal family life. Mom and dad, two siblings, and we did go to church, but it was not like an integral part of our life. It was just kind of something we did.
Same here.
When I was in 6th grade, my mom, came to the Lord. Somebody she worked with witnessed to her and had a radical conversion moment. And we thought she was nuts, That's just how we looked at it. It's like, oh my gosh, what is this nonsense, I was in 6th grade and I thought that. But over time, each of us, kind of got with the program a bit. My sister first, and me probably a year or so later. I made a profession of faith at a, like one of those play events where it's like they're just trying to get people to say a sinner's prayer and not go to hell.
Yeah.
And I did not want to go to hell, and I didn't not believe, and it just said, well, what do I got to do? So kind of went along with that. That was 7th grade or so. I wouldn't say I had a huge change as a young teenager in my life, but over time, I just sort of followed suit with what we're doing here culturally.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, I mean, I was serious about it. I definitely did believe.
Yeah.
I wasn't like an avid Bible reader or anything, but I would go to church and try to look the part for sure. And yeah, so it's fast forward without too many details in the middle, 18 years old, and actually 16 years old, going to a men's Bible study as a young guy. And we were watching a video by a guy named Ray Comfort called Hell's Best Kept Secret. Mm-hmm. And I remember being very troubled by what this guy had to say, because it was not the common Christian message.
Okay.
It basically was, not everybody who says they're a Christian is. Even if they believe in Jesus, does not really mean they're saved. And that was like, what are you talking about? I thought it was really easy. And it's like, well, all throughout the Bible, Jesus said, not everybody who says to me, Lord, Lord, is going to inherit the kingdom of heaven. And he goes on. Every parable was kind of about this. And I remember wondering, what if I'm not really saved?
It makes you scared for a minute.
Yeah. Which is a common. Every Christian goes through doubting their salvation. But I remember being particularly troubled. Fast forward a couple of years, just sitting in church, listening to a sermon, and I just had a sudden realization that no, I do not think I am actually saved. I do not think I'm really a Christian, for whatever that means, and that's a little harder to explain, I guess, in just a few sentences, but I knew that there was something radically wrong with how I was living versus what I was believing. And I actually thought, I did not know, I didn't have good theology or anything, I just was reading some different verses. I actually thought I maybe had lost my salvation, and that there was no chance of getting that back, and so I was really in trouble. Had a radical conversion moment. It wasn't just like I was scared for a day and then figured it out and then I was good. I mean, this lasted quite a long time of just thinking I am going to hell. And I don't know if there's anything I can even do about that anymore. Like, too late.
Yeah.
So what a scary, crazy place to be. And so what I did was I just started reading the Bible because I wanted answers. I was like, I just read some verses that don't agree with what I've always thought. And I just started looking for answers. And I remember it was all I did. I was 18 years old, and I read the New Testament probably multiple times over the course of maybe a couple weeks, underlining everything. I mean, I had this Bible that I'd had since I was probably 13 years old. After a few months, I mean, the thing was just falling apart. Yeah. It was like, what do they make these things out of?
Yeah.
and I was like, these aren't built to last, apparently. I've only read through it like once, and I had it all marked up. And it was not very fast. It took me a while to kind of realize. And I remember coming to a place in my life where I thought, I definitely don't deserve to go to heaven. I don't even think I should call myself a Christian. But I feel like I will just serve God anyway. Mm-hmm. We'll see what he does about that, you know?
I love that.
You know? And that was the mindset I had. And I was like, you just can't argue with that mentality, even if you're not going to go to heaven. I'm just not even going to do that. I just believe this is the right things to do. Mm-hmm. And I believe, and even if I'm not saved. So it was a weird place to be. But, you know, after a while you had a sudden realization that, and you read through the Bible again, you realize this is conversion. This is repentance. I mean, I really did not want to sin in any, not even in any manner at all. Mm-hmm. I remember finding a nickel on the ground in our shop that I worked in. It was a cabinet maker. I remember thinking, nickel on the ground, put it in my pocket. And I just had this conscience that was like, that's not my nickel.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a nickel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It could have actually been my nickel. I mean, there was only 3 other guys in the shop. I remember being like, nope. Yeah. It's like God watching everything, you know?
Yeah, like everything you do, you're probably like...
Yeah, everything. I felt, and I don't believe like this now, but I felt like one sin, I'm out, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember just putting that nickel back, but the rightful owner might come back for it, you know? And I laugh about those things now, but I went through, I remember making restitution to people I had offended when I was a kid. I cheated on a test when I was in 9th grade. I called my 9th grade drafting teacher up, found him in the phone book, apologized to him. He turned out to be the son of a big-time pastor in Syracuse.
Wow.
Yep.
He's laughing. I'm like crying, talking to him. You know?
I'm sorry.
I'm like, I know you probably think this is stupid, but I feel like I need to make up for everything I've ever done in my entire life. You know?
Yeah.
I just have this feeling, you know, and I went through and did just that with a lot of things.
Yeah.
And he's laughing. I mean, I'm like crying. He's like, this is wonderful.
He's like, it's okay.
Sounds like God's doing something in your life.
Yeah.
Something like that. You know? Crazy enough, I ran into him a week later in a Wegmans.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Just like walking down the aisle, boom, he was right there in front of me. I have never seen him in public before that. I had never seen him since. This was back when I was 18 years old, so, you know, we're talking 22 years ago.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a God moment.
Yeah.
Well, for sure.
I mean, we caught up, talked a little bit, and he was just very happy to see me. And it was wild. Things like that. So we'll see if I can shorten it a bit. So radically different, just everything about my life. You know, I just started doing a lot of things differently. And I had an immediate desire, like, everybody's got to know about this. And then after a while, I realized, holy smokes, I think I got saved, and I didn't even realize it, like, how it happened. Did I believe everything you should? I've repented. It's like, this is what it means. And I just, like, missed it before, but I get it now. And I understood it. Looked up Ray Comfort stuff, and that, I remember, so I was like, I remember this guy. I can't remember his name. He had an Australian accent, you know, and found him. It turns out his ministry had gotten bigger, and yeah, I actually ended up joining a sister ministry to his a couple years later, and was out there doing, like, you know, he would open air preach. He was a big evangelist, like, not just like filling stadiums, but like, we're just going to go on the streets and just talk to people. Yeah. Or we go to college campuses and we preach and we see if we can talk to people about the Lord. And I mean, I was just like, I was all in with this. And I took about a year, probably after having this conversion experience, where I decided to, like, dabble in and try, like, I'm going to try to do the same thing. I'm going to start talking to people, you know? Yeah. And I did. And then it got more bold, and fast forward another year after that, I started doing open air preaching. And
really?
So big time. Yeah. Started on the streets in Syracuse, downtown Syracuse.
Wow,
I mean, I would just do, like, you know, witnessing, passing out gospel tracts. And eventually started open air preaching a little bit. Went with a friend. Oh, boy, must have been something serious. Went to Toronto one time. I was young. I was like 20. Yeah, I was about 19. Yeah, maybe 20. Ended up getting on a street corner in Yonge and Dundas in Toronto. Tons of traffic around Christmas time. Mm-hmm. And we were used to doing, like, a little open-air preaching where we'd speak for, like, 5 or 10 minutes maybe. You get a little crowd, then eventually, like, the crowd just fizzle out. I don't know what happened, but I had a crowd for about 3 hours.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And the whole street corner was packed with, like, I mean, like 150 people, like all night, into the night, until it was like 9:30 at night. And I thought it had been like 20 minutes. Wow. And I finally got down. I mean, people were just asking questions, and I was just answering the best I could. And guy I went with, he was like, I don't know what that just was, man, but that was wild.
Wow.
And I was like, so should we like keep going, go again? He goes, it's 9:30 at night. He goes, we started at 6.
Yeah.
He goes, you've been going for like 3 hours. I was like, it felt like 15 minutes, you know?
Wow.
He goes, no, dude, you'd be going all night. I went and got dinner and came back,
Yeah.
you know?
Wow.
And it was like the beginning of just a pretty wild trajectory. So, yeah, eventually did more of that, just all over. So he joined this ministry that was kind of part of Ray Comfort's thing, and I became like a team leader, and we would do like evangelism boot camp things, we called them, in different cities. L.A., we did a lot in L.A., did Austin, Texas one time, did some other places, and became like a little team leader, take groups out and do similar stuff. And then got into college campuses, and that was like a totally different world. I mean, street corners, people don't care. They're busy, they're going.
Yeah.
College campus, it's like you get some crazy guy in the middle of campus to start talking, people arguing with you. Sometimes we'd have 400 or 500 students, and if you did it right, you could hold them from 11 a.m. till 5 p.m. The same crowd, and classes would get canceled, and we'd go for usually a day or 2 or 3 in a row. Really crazy, like a really good campus. You know, we could go 5 days in a row and get the same crowd. Like they'd be there waiting for you when you came back the next day.
Man, the impact.
Yeah, so it was cool. It was cool. I mean, you know, there's a strange world, street preaching world, and you know, there's different flavors, I guess.
Yeah.
Guys that are just all banners and bullhorns and just kind of yelling at people as they go by to parades or whatever. And I know a lot of those guys, you know, and some of them I think they're better dudes than maybe they appear to be. Some of them I just would not then, and I would not now associate with them, because I just really think you're just not doing it right, man. I mean, I always feel like, you know, anybody who's doing something is better than somebody doing nothing. But there's certainly ways that I feel like are not a great way to
Almost
go about
detrimental.
things. It certainly, yes, 100%. But we try to do more like, you know, Paul in the book of Acts said he would go to, you know, I think it was in Athens, and there was like, you know, the place where all the philosophers would just discuss stuff. It was kind of like a university, a campus type environment. And we look at the campuses of very similar flavor to that. Like, we're not just yelling at people as they walk by. It's like, the goal here is to spark some debate, answer questions. You know, and now there's guys that do this, but it's a little different, like Charlie Kirk, like conservative type stuff. And he's a Christian, he's a believer. So a lot of his stuff is about that, but his main thing is just mostly politics. You know, guys like that, like it was similar to how we would do it. Like we could totally have had a table and a chair and just like, come on up and ask questions. And then just people would just gather around because it's wild topics. And the goal was not just to make people mad, but to preach the gospel, and it was wild. So I did that for 2 years straight. 2 school years anyway. So first year I had a couple other guys. We literally lived in a van and traveled the whole country. Probably did 50, 60 campuses one year, and then next year I did another 50 or 60 campuses. Sometimes went to the same ones.
Sounds fun.
Probably did about 100 campuses.
I feel like it would be a lot of fun.
It was like some of the greatest memories of my life.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
And it never felt like a job. I mean, it was like 5 days a week. We're in the middle of campus, preaching away, getting crowds. Sometimes it wouldn't go well. Go to the next campus the next day. Sometimes it would go really well. We'd stay for... We had no like hard schedule. We just knew eventually we'd like to get to LA, and we try to follow the sunshine, you know, during the winter, and then we work our way back. And so we've done a lot of big universities. And
do you feel like your journey getting closer to God, that there were little things that were going wrong, having maybe the devil trying to pull you back because your 100%. Relationship with God was getting better?
100%.
Yep.
And that did happen. You know? And there was a while when I thought, you know, that I somehow had like a right to tell everybody else how to live. And you feel like you're immune, like you've learned everything. You know, you'd be 20 years old. It's like, I've read the Bible many times. And I'm young. And I feel like I know theology well. I know lots of things, and you feel like you're smarter than your pastor, kind of a mentality. And you know, like, you know, the Bible says like a novice shouldn't be a pastor unless he's filled up with pride. And I just remember thinking, like, what is a novice exactly? Like, could a 21-year-old be a pastor? And it's like, I feel like I know so much. You know, I felt like that. But I knew that probably can't be, because it just doesn't make sense that somebody that young could know that much. So I felt like it was definitely possible that I don't know what I don't know. But it didn't feel that way, that's for sure. And then I learned. I learned. So, fast forward a little bit. Ended up dating Katie. Trying to date Katie anyway. I chased her around pretty good for a while.
How old were you at that point?
So I was probably 23.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe even 22. I mean, we started to get to know each other more. I mean, I actually knew her since I was about 12 years old. Our families went to church together. My sister was good friends with her. So we knew each other pretty well-ish. I mean, I was too afraid to talk to her. But it's like, I knew who she was. I liked her.
Yeah.
I had a crush on her. And I remember at one point being a young teenager and just thinking, that's the kind of girl that you could marry.
Aww.
And I remember thinking, I'd be willing to wait a long time for her. And, I'm sure a lot of kids, a lot of Christians, especially in the Christian world, of like, you got to marry a Christian. You should get married. You don't just date for fun and not do anything. I mean, like, the goal is marriage, having kids, and raising a family. And so you think about those things probably a little earlier than maybe the average person. So you start wondering, could be some girl in this church that I might marry one day. You never know. I mean, why wouldn't you go outside your circle of influence? And so I kind of had Katie in my mind, like, that's the ideal girl right there. And we grew up together, and those feelings didn't really change.
Yeah.
When I was young, I felt like way out of my league, way out of my league. And then, of course, and she was also very, very committed faith. I mean, she did not have to go through any radical, conversion, but she just, from a young age, was like, I believe, and I'm going to do whatever God says, because that's right. And I always appreciated that. So, anyway, fast forward, we're all of a sudden, kind of in a similar path of life of, like, we're both fired up about the Lord and doing things and doing some evangelism on our own. And eventually we, somehow we started talking a little bit more. And, so we did actually some ministry together, doing some stuff. We became friends. And, people would ask us, like, so you guys dating? It's like, dating? What are you talking about? We're just friends. It's like, sure. Or like officially asking her to, like, date or be my girlfriend or whatever. And she was like, I'm not really into that right now. I was like,
Darn it.
Why have we been talking?
How long were you talking at that point?
Man,
Like,
I mean, 6 months probably.
Oh, wow.
No, actually I take it back, more like over a year. Because actually we started just talking a little bit while I was on the road by email. So when email was kind of newish. And I thought, she's into me, man. And I just
talking back.
delusion. Oh man, just looking at you was like, apparently all I needed. And we actually went on a mission trip to Ukraine together with a church.
wow.
Funny story. So I was scheduled to go to Kazakhstan on a mission trip. This was in 2006. It was 2006, and she was going to go to Ukraine, different church, and there were some Russian language classes they were taking. And I said, well, they speak Russian in Kazakhstan. Maybe I'll join the class and go along with it. So, yeah, it's cool. We're leaving at similar times. And then my trip to Kazakhstan got canceled. I don't remember the reason. Maybe lack of enough people actually to go. I think it got changed to China for a little bit. And I was like, yeah, okay, we could do that. We hadn't bought tickets yet. I was like, don't need to speak Russian in China, really? Yeah. And then that got canceled. And this was a week before the other crew with Katie was going to go to Ukraine. And I said, well, I have this money that I fundraised, and we haven't bought tickets, and I do not, there's nobody going. So maybe I'll go with you guys if you guys are all right with that. So I come on board. So I jumped onto that trip a week before they left, basically. Okay. Good news, because Katie would be there, so this is a bonus. And, so, we didn't talk a lot, but we hung out because we knew each other and didn't know everybody else in the group. And I just thought she definitely liked me. And later that summer, I think that summer I just carried on my life. Went and did another year of college campus ministry. Sounds about right, 06 to 07. And we talked more through email. I think that's when I actually started talking through email. I'm getting all confused with the order of things, but we started talking a bit more, 07. And then I thought, totally, she's got to like me. And then finally just asked her straight out, and she was like, no. Oh. I was so confused.
Oh, no.
And like any good salesman, you just don't take no for an answer, And So we somehow kept hanging out, though.
Yeah.
We can be friends, she said. I was like, okay. And, yeah, so anyway, I worked her down. ended up asking her again closer to Christmas time.
Yeah.
6 months later or so. And she had thought a lot about it because she realized I was not going to leave her alone. And funny, that year I made her this little wooden box. It was a cabinet maker. Made this really, really cool wooden box. I had it on display at the funeral and calling hours, actually. And, made it out of one piece. It was all sapele, which is kind of like a cousin of mahogany, and it was a pretty cool looking pillbox. I made a few of them for other people to kind of make it not look like I only made one for Katie. Gave her mom one, I gave my grandma one or something.
Yeah.
And but really the best one was Katie's. It was pretty intense. Had a lid fitted to it,
Yeah.
Perfect.
And, gave her that. Probably gave her some. I think I gave her snowshoes too, because we were into outdoors. We did a lot of hiking together in the Adirondacks.
Cool.
I was in much better shape 20 years ago, and that was the fun things that we did. We had her brother, a group of friends. We would crush these trails on the Adirondacks. One time we did 6 peaks in one day.
Oh, awesome.
And I think we calculated it was about 25 miles.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Not
Yeah,
one
beat my
person.
record.
Not one person passed
We did
us.
3 in
That's
one day.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, 4.
We basically ran it the whole way.
Wow.
I mean, I look back and I still don't know how I was in that kind of shape. Katie was in front of me,
Trying to keep up.
kept me going. No, we did. I mean, our legs were noodles for
I can't imagine.
2 weeks after. It was intense. But we would do stuff like that every so often. So we got into snowshoe. Got her some really nice snowshoes one year for Christmas. That's probably what threw her over the edge, because she hard to turn that one down. So, and she told me later, I was secretly hoping you'd make me something for Christmas, because I was a budding woodworker at the time, and so we started dating, did all kinds of stuff, had some bumps in the road, of course, along that, and eventually got engaged, got
How
married.
long was it? Were you dating, you think, till you got engaged about?
Oh boy, I probably started dating in 07, almost 08, because it was around Christmas time. And then we got married in 2010.
Okay.
So, yeah, we dated for, over a year.
Yeah.
A couple years, maybe, almost, and then got engaged, and then set a date, probably for about a year after that.
Yeah.
And, it was great. 8, 9, 10. Easy to remember date. And our first year of marriage, I thought was great. It was real easy. Real easy. It was not always easy. There were just different things came along.
Yeah.
You think you're immune to those types of things. We both had we just grew up in church. It's we just watched, your parents. It's like a different generation of people that they didn't necessarily get raised Christian. So they felt like they made all kinds of mistakes in life. They thought, we're going to raise our kids to not make the mistakes our kids make. And in a lot of ways, that was true. But you just felt like if you do things the Lord's way, there's no way you're going to have problems in your marriage. It's a terrible way to think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really, I don't know how to explain it. It just sets you up for the first sign of trouble. You feel like I must have made the wrong decision.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Like you did something wrong.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
I think it's a terrible
What
way.
did I do to deserve this?
Terrible way to look
right.
at things.
Right.
Yeah. But we both were, we both went into marriage thinking we know marriage is tough. We're not sure how yet, but we know it is.
Yeah.
And you got to just be committed to working on whatever it is.
Yeah.
But sometimes things are hard to work on.
Yeah.
Because you just feel like you don't feel like you're treated right. There's so many things without going into a lot of details. But
Yeah.
we had trouble. We we needed marriage counseling
Yeah.
quite a bit, mostly for me. Because she didn't really have any problems. I felt like her biggest problem was not just thinking it's gonna be I'm okay, and it was also not really true. But I had a lot of things I needed to work on.
Yeah.
Tons, and things that came up that were not a problem before. We ended up but for the most part we worked through problems and ended up having Jane, our first, and then another year and a half later had our second. A few years later had Eli, and then Henry Well, I'll pause in between Eli. We really had trouble in our marriage after Eli. It got pretty bad. It got pretty bad. You know, we were building a business. I guess that's a very important aspect of our story, is that we got married. Katie was kind of committed to being like a stay-at-home mom. We had no kids yet, but she's like, no sense in getting off that path right from the beginning. Like, I'll just be a stay-at-home wife, take care of the house, whatever, manage our life. And I worked a normal job. And then Katie's she's just an entrepreneur by heart.
Yeah.
And she never actually worked for anybody else in her entire life. She didn't really have like a big business before we got married. So funny enough, I mean, she's staying home. I'm working. We're very frugal. We're both always very good with money. I mean, even as teenagers, like both into like Dave Ramsey type stuff. Like, don't get into debt. You know, don't buy stuff you can't afford. Save up money. You know, the goal is to buy a house with cash. You know, and so we got married. We had no debt. We didn't have student loans or anything. We didn't go to college. Neither of us did. So I don't know, probably had like $10,000 in the bank when we got married and no debt. And we had like one car. We shared it, and that was it. And I went to work, and I did have a motorcycle too, big into motorcycles. So that was great for commuting to work so that she could have the car. So practically 9 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And we budgeted everything. We looked at everything. Like, I mean, it's like, how much money is it going to take to buy a house? It was like a lot more, you know? It's like, we need to find more income. And so we dabbled in some other small businesses that we tried. Tried having like a dog food delivery business. We became a distributor for dog food, all kinds of brands. We'd stock it. Of course, we had dogs ourselves, so might as well use that. Yeah. We would hand deliver them around. We lived in Liverpool at the time, you know, suburb area. Had some customers, and I swear it was like 2 months later, Chewy.com was invented. And it was like, how are they doing this? How are they shipping this for cheaper than I can drive to somebody's house? You know? I go, I'm getting this stuff wholesale. They're getting it wholesale. I don't get it. And sometimes you got to realize when it's impossible to compete, you just need to go, we're not going to try to make this work. It will be different. A loser. We cannot compete with that. And we're not there to like build some giant empire of dog food delivery. We had a small thing. We did house staging for a very short time, like for real estate agents. Like we said, we want some more furniture in our house, but I do not like to pay for furniture. So if we can buy the furniture, make us money, then we can keep the furniture if we choose, or go get different furniture. So we did that. We really only did it like once though, and we kept the bed because it was so cool. And it was like this giant 4-post, you know, you know, back in the you know, early 2010s when the biggest, chunkiest, you know, French country or whatever was like it. Yeah. It was a crazy big bed. It was so tall it didn't even actually fit in our room. And we had to take the like finial off the top just to not hit the ceiling.
Oh my gosh.
It was made for a house.
But it was a really cool bed.
A lot more money, but the bed was so cool. Yeah. And we had stuff like that. It didn't really make a lot of money. But very shortly after getting married, so Katie had Labradoodles, a Labradoodle anyway, bred it only a couple times before we were married, and I was kind of part of one of those litters and helped. You know, we got into like dog training a little bit together. She was a real dog trainer. I mean, very, very good. And shortly after we got married, she's like, we should get into a little higher end version of Labradoodles. You know, what I've been playing with is not it. It's like the beginner level, but there's a serious bloodlines and things. And they sell for a lot more money, and they're going to be better dogs. It's like the original. And I remember being like, all right, well, how much is this going to be? And it was $10,000 for a breeding dog to just get into the club. That's for one dog to have breeding rights to. And it was like, I'm sorry, what?
She's like, let's do this. And you're like, what?
Yeah, and I'm like, why now? We've been married for 2 months, you know? She's like, well, my dad wouldn't go for it, and I didn't have $10,000. He thought that was crazy. And I go, what do you think I am? And she's like, here's how it's going to work. This is the cost breakdown. This is how much money you can sell dogs, $2,500. This is the price. Trust me, this is going to work. And at first I was like, there's no way this is going to work. And there's nobody in the world that pays $2,500 for a dog. Because dogs they're either free or like $300. Yeah. You know? The expensive ones are $500. I don't even know what you're talking about, $2,500 for a dog.
Yep.
And she's like, you just need to trust me on this one. And I was, eventually, you know, she wore me down. And I had a lot of poo-pooing of that idea. But that became a pattern in our life for like, she comes up with a great idea. I go, that's a terrible idea, and here's why. And I try to disagree with all the things until there were no more disagreements left, and she answered every question. I go, I guess I have no more questions. And it does sound like it might actually work. And so that's what happened with the dogs. And that'd be a really short way to put it. But we did end up buying a breeding dog for $10,000. I said the worst case scenario, I think I'll break even. Yeah. I'm pretty, like, let's say like we can't sell all the dogs, or we have to discount them or something. Because we were selling American Labradoodles for about $1,000 before, but it was hard to sell them. And I was like, it was not super successful, the other litters that we had. I didn't think anyway. So I don't know why charging more is going to be more successful. She goes, it's a different world.
Was it hard to like get people to know that you were selling them? Like, how did you get that out there?
So we started a website, and we knew right from the beginning. I mean, we were both kind of hustlers. Like, and I was from a young age too. Like, 10, 11, 12 years old, me and a buddy of mine, we would work the whole neighborhood. Like, every kid like tries to mow a lawn or rake some leaves for like some extra money. We turned it into like a little empire,
That's awesome.
12-year-olds, we had flyers put up, we go door knocking, like we were like, we're going to make money this winter. And we both had snow blowers, and we were like a team. So we'd shovel, we'd snow blow.
Kids
and
did that nowadays. That'd be awesome.
We went and did, and we had a small, we're in North Syracuse. We had a small neighborhood.
Yeah.
We could work all the houses in like a couple hours. And we had a route. Every time it snowed, we snow blowed, collected money. And then the same customers were like, you guys want your lawns mowed this summer? We're back at it again, and we would mow everybody's lawn. And we had like a thing going for a few years there. And we were busy. And as a 12-year-old, I never had so much money in my life. I remember one time we were like, we could go down to the bike store, the Bike Loft, which is right down the road from us. We were like, we could go buy our own bike if we wanted to, And one time we put on like a little show for all the kids in the neighborhood. It was like, I did some juggling acts. We did some magic tricks. We did like a bike stunt where we jumped, a bunch of kids laying on the ground. And we like had a ramp that we made, and we jumped all the kids. I wouldn't know what the heck we were thinking. Parents would have come out and seen that. They would have been like,
that's funny.
And we charged the kids like $1 to come see the show, and we sold lemonade.
Oh my gosh. Hey, why not?
We were like 13
That's awesome.
We were 13 years old.
That's awesome.
It was like the Miles and Bingo show. And fast forward, 10 years later, that friend, my best friend, we were kids, he ended up being a Marine, joined the Marines, came back home, started a lawn care company, veteran lawn care, mowing lawns, until he realized, like, you can get government contracts for mowing lawns and plowing snow. And once he started getting contracts, he started adding employees and adding trucks, and he went from, like, him in a truck to, like, 5, 10 employees.
Wow. And
eventually expanded big time into, now it's called Industry Standard, big construction company. He ended up getting contracts for like
amazing
Arlington Cemetery.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's incredible.
Like a bunch of VA hospitals all over the Northeast, not just Syracuse, but like New Jersey, all like Long Island. I mean, he's all over. He's got tons of employees.
That's so cool.
He's big. He was like my original business partner. And we were both hustlers. And he went wild with it, and he's doing very, very well right now. And when he was just starting, I was kind of just getting off the ground and starting our business with the dog. So, so we got married. She's like, let's get one of these dogs. I got the game plan. I know how it can be done. Trust me, we got this. At the same time, she was like, we were doing like house calls, dog training, and I'd go along with her. I mean, it was like a little side business where we just put like an ad on Craigslist of like, we'll come to your house and help you train your dog. And like, $50 for a 30-minute session or whatever. And we would do some of those, and she was really good at it. We didn't turn into much because I have no idea why we could today. But so we did some other things. But yeah, we got our first dog. We ended up somehow getting a deal where we got another dog that was like a little older and ready to have puppies. But you kind of got to be in the club to like even talk to, like when we first started with the Labradoodle world, because it was a growing breed, and they were very protective of like, listen, we got something good here. We can't just let anybody get in on this. And the barrier to entry was pretty big. Yeah. You got to have $10,000, and the average person is like, no, I guess I can't do this ever. Right. We were kids that had like nothing to lose, and it was like, it's only our life savings up to this point. So how bad can it be? And so we bought a puppy that would have taken another year to be old enough and the health tests and all that. And then once you're in the club, then we, now we're like a breeder in the club. I mean, it took half the breeders wouldn't even talk to us. We're like, we want to get into breeding, and they're just like, yeah, no thanks, click, and they just wouldn't even talk to you. Some of them are rude. Some of them I know now to this day.
Yeah.
And, they're a little less rude because I'm like one of the biggest ones.
Yep. Look at that.
But yeah, funny that experience guided how we treated other breeders big time, because other people have come to us and said, I want to get into breeding, and we've gotten them their first breeding dog. And kind of the typical thing is in the dog breeding world is if you buy a breeding dog, your first breeding dog off a breeder, like they should be your mentor to some degree.
Yeah.
And so that just comes with it. So it's like, we want to help you be successful.
Yeah.
And so we're going to make sure you get a good dog. We're going to make sure, like, we're going to help you with marketing, like, the best we can. A lot of people look at our success and they thought this should be easy, and they ended up jumping
Probably
ship.
make it look easy.
Because it's not as easy. And it was hard sometimes. You got to make crazy, hard decisions sometimes. Funny, I remember early on, we were just getting into the breeding aspect. We had some other things going on. I remember running into a relative, and they were like, we were newlyweds still, like not even 6 months. And they're like, oh, I hadn't seen you in a while. Like, oh, so what are you doing? Working? I'm like, yeah, working in the cabinet shop, and what's she doing? I'm like, she's home. It's like, home doing nothing?
Wow.
And it's like, well, she's not doing nothing. Like, she has a lot of value. Like, she takes care of the groceries, all the laundry. Like, she's like taking care of the house.
Yeah.
This has a huge value,
Yep.
We want to have kids one day, and like, I don't want to like jump off of that path. And so like, it's like, trust me, like she's valuable. Okay. Even though she's not bringing in like a ton of income, it's like, this is a huge part of your life. It makes life good and easy. Yeah. And she loved doing it. That's what she wanted to do. Yeah. She didn't get married just to not do that part. Like, she loved the homemaker stuff.
Right.
She was a great cook. I gained a massive amount of weight, like very, very quickly. Yeah. I tried to tell her early on. I was like, you need to tell me that you don't like this, Because if you are like, it's okay, that's a lot of ice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That scared me.
I saw it slipping earlier. I was like, that's not going to be good. Anyway, she just couldn't do it. She was like, I think you're fine the way you are. It's like, oh, no, if you do that and too much, I will just eat.
Can't stop.
I go, you need to tell me you're too fat and ugly for me. That would help me. She goes, no, I won't do it.
Stop cooking.
So anyway, so it was funny. So so we got a breeding dog. Now we're in the club. It's like, you call a breeder. Like, I have one breeding dog, we're building up our program. Like, oh, okay, well, we'll keep talking to you then. And then next thing you know, somebody was really nice to us and said, I have an adult dog that I don't need in my program. And she can come to you bred. And like, she can be in heat here any day now, and we can breed her, and we'll even sell it to you on terms where it's like, you pay a pet price up front, not the full $10,000. And once you sell your puppies, like, pay me back. And it was like, this would be dumb not to do.
Yeah.
So we did that.
Yeah.
And actually, there was one like that happened. Had a litter with her. Had 10 puppies. We were like, this happened way faster because we thought we were going to take a year to like raise this first puppy. Yeah. And then, we had to get this like dog that was old enough and ready to go, and we got her bred, or she came to us bred. I can't remember, but it was like, she just came to heat and she was just bred. She's going to have puppies in 2 months. Yeah. And we're like, well, we better get a website fast.
Yeah.
So I reached out to a friend of mine in California who was absolutely the best web developer I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he really did. He was big into Flash. I don't know if you remember Flash. Yeah. Like, it was all the animated, like, anything. Yeah. And then eventually, I think iPhone and Apple said no to Flash, and Flash kind of died out. Yeah. But when we started, the iPhones were new. We had an iPhone 4 at the time. And I had one thing. I knew the iPhones were going to be huge. Like, bigger than anybody realized. And I was like, this must look good in an iPhone. This website has to. And like, it looked great on a widescreen, laptop or whatever. I go, let's see how it looks on the iPhone. I go, it looks terrible. It's cut off. I go, we got to redo it. Yep. And we had an eye for what we knew was like what the clientele would be like. And we worked on this website. We drove the web designer. He gave us a really good deal. He did not have to, but he gave us a really good deal. And it was like at the time when web developers were like kind of saturated in the market. So it was tough. It was like prices were just low. Not like they were 5-10 years earlier where it was like, name your price. Yeah. So I remember thinking at the time the price was too good to be true. But we're also a big believer that you can have it good, you can have it cheap, you can have it fast, but you can only pick two. And it was really good and it was really cheap. He just could not be fast about it because he had another day job doing other web stuff too.
Yeah.
So we were like, we need this site to go live as fast as possible.
Yep.
And we were kind of picky, you know, and it was like, you know, and he did his best. And we went through one design and we were like, we just knew it wasn't it.
Yeah.
And it was like halfway done. And we were like, this isn't it. This isn't going to sell
Yeah, like
dogs
when
for
you know, you know.
$2,500.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we just scoured the internet for other websites and we finally found one that were like, this is close to what we're getting at. And they had to change, you know, some things, but it had a similar flavor. And it was like, it needs to look like this.
Yeah.
And it came out, and it was like we noodled, you know, and tweaked it. It came out so good. I mean, we were just like, we almost went with a design that I know would not have been right. But this design was so good.
Yeah.
We were like, we have looked at every Labradoodle breeder website in the country. We've seen like the top 5 or 10. And this one like feels better than all of them.
Awesome.
And this is going to work.
Yeah.
And it took a while. Like it finally didn't go live until puppies were born. Puppies were like 4 or 5 weeks old. And we were talking to another breeder friend who became a little bit of a mentor for us. And she was like, your website's not live yet and these puppies are 5 weeks old almost. She goes, I would be panicking. You need to tell your web guy, like, you got to get this done. You're going to be stuck here with dogs.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, we'll try to be a little meaner. You know, he's a friend, and I didn't want to be like, I'm like, dude, our life is depending on this website getting like live, you know, because up until then we're just like, hopefully we can sell them when it goes live, you know.
Yeah.
And we didn't know. Prior to that, we had sold a couple litters of puppies before the internet was as big as it is. And Katie actually used to run ads in newspapers in New York City, like Craigslist type ads, but in the newspaper, dog breeders. And after a while, like they just didn't allow out of town advertisers. But she like just figured out that's where the money was in New York City. Not necessarily like people locally weren't buying $1,000, $1,500 dogs.
Right.
People down there would. And so we did newspaper ads. I think we might have even tried a little bit of that early on and like was not getting it. And then finally the website went live. It's like, all right, it's live. Let's see if anything happens.
And now it's
We
waiting.
got pictures of dogs, you
Yeah.
know, and we started doing stuff and it's like, nothing's happening. A week goes by, no inquiries yet. We're like, is this working? You know, how many hits have
People
we had?
seeing this?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So I started running Google ads. I didn't, to this day, I wonder, like, I don't even know how I had money for any of this. Like, we did not, like, inherit money or have a windfall. It was like, I don't know, we worked and we were so frugal. Like, it was like the budget for groceries is $100 a month because we need to have a lot more money left over to save up things.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had a decent, a very normal job for a 25-year-old, you know, young dude, and but we were not wealthy at all, not even close. We just were very, very careful with money.
Yeah.
Somehow, though, we had enough money I must have had some thousands of dollars in the bank because I remember blowing through about $6,000 in Google ad clicks.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea how to run Google ads. We just got Google ads, and I'm like, this has got to be the way to do it. And we're running ads, and I'm like, we need to be number one. I know that. And it was like $1.50 a click, and it was like, go. And then it was like 5 hours later, you went through $500, and it was like,
Wow.
well, maybe we shouldn't do that. And it was like, did we get anything yet? And it was like, no. And yeah, we went through about $6,000 in clicks that first, like over the course of like a few weeks. Because like we started off slow, and it's like maybe it's not enough because I just saw that all your click budget just went through, and we didn't get an inquiry.
No hits off that.
No hits.
Oh.
So we were like, maybe we don't have a big enough budget, and we just had to keep on ramping it up. And it was like, I don't even know. I don't know if we sold one dog from those ads.
Dude, not to interrupt you, but I've had Google ad experts reaching out to me for the past 2 months nonstop. So it's just funny you mentioned
Interesting.
that.
Yeah.
I will by the end of this, I will tell you more about Google ads.
Oh, good.
Now we're in it pretty good, but we were not for a long time. Anyway, so I tried that, did not work, and then we're just like, I've run out of budget. We can't keep doing this.
Right.
So now what do we do?
Yeah.
And then it was like we got an inquiry, and then they bought a dog for $2,500, and it was like, oh my gosh, we made our first sale.
And you're like, oh.
Now we have $2,500. Do we run more Google ads or do we just wait? You know?
Right. Yeah.
Reinvest.
And then it was like another
That's
week,
tough.
and it's like we sold another dog. And it was like, that's 2 dogs. Now we have $5,000, you know? And we had like basically we put everything. We had like, we were down to like basically zero. And, I mean, it took a little while. I mean, I think the last one probably went at 4 months old. But there was a little while. We had 10 puppies. And I knew, I just looked around, I was like, if they all sell, there's $25,000 sitting here, you know?
Yeah.
And then one sold, it was like, all of a sudden, we can do this.
Yeah.
And after a few more weeks, and it was like, they're not going fast enough. I was like, we got to lower the price. And Katie was like, She goes, not one of these dogs is going out of here for less than $2,500. Not even $1 less. I will keep them forever if I have to, because that's the price.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Okay.
I'm like, they're going to eat me out of hearth and home.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they're literally eating my house. I mean, they're like making a mud pit in the back, And they're getting older, and they start eating more. And it's like, but then we'd sell another. And it's like, we have enough money to feed them definitely for the next 5 months, if we had to. Like, there's enough money sitting here. And then, boom, another one sell, one by one. And finally, it was like, we got to the last one. It was like, oh my gosh, we did it.
Yeah.
So after you sold all of them, were you like, we're going to do it again? Or
So-
were you like, should we do it again?
Well, here's what started happening. And we had friends and people that like watched this going on. They thought we were crazy. Early days, it was like, we're going to buy a breeding dog. It's $10,000. And they were like, you're out of your mind. You guys will never sell a dog for $2,500. And we're like, I'm like, I hope she's right, And so we started selling. It was slow. Enough that like people would visit and they're like, are these dogs moving? I go, there's only 5 left. Like we sold 5.
Yeah.
That's some money right there.
Yeah.
And Katie was very good at all this stuff. I mean, just did an incredible job. Like she knew how to raise dogs. Like she grew up around dog breeding on a very small scale, but she was very into it. It wasn't like she just saw somebody and was like,
Let's just try
this is great. I bet you we can make a bunch of money. She was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
these dogs are great.
She had passion for it.
These dogs
Yeah.
are incredible. And I'm telling you, they're not just more expensive. They're worth it. And so we finally sold the last one. It took a little while. What a relief when that last dog left. It was hard letting go of like each puppy. I was like, that's my favorite, and we'd always like try to sell like our favorite one first. And it's like, this is the best dog in the bunch. And like, well, that's the one that's going to go first then, And it was a little tough for the first litter, like letting them go.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh my gosh, our house isn't crazy. I mean, we had them in our living room. Like we had a pen set up. It was like, they're pooping it. We're trying to crate. Then we start crate training them like right at 7 weeks old. They're pooping every night in the kennel. They're barking like a corpse. I remember the first night we're crate training. It was so loud in that house.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
We tried to go to like the other end of the house and turn box fans on. And just like, we have to sleep. It was brutal. I was like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
This cannot
Is it
be
worth it right now? Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, we hadn't even sold one. It was like,
We're
I hope this
crazy.
works. So by the time they were 4 months old, I was like, these guys are crate trained. Like they're very good dogs now. They're still $2,500, but there we go. Finally sold them all, and it was like, we did it. We had some costs along the way, certainly. But like we had a chunk of change. Like we had done it. We bought the dog, paid for the dog, the first breeding dog, and it's like the sale from all the puppies covered the first litter, and we still had money left over. It was like, this was profitable. Like we've got like $10,000 now, or a little more, probably $15,000 in our pocket. And it was like, and then our website was out there. Like it literally only took a couple months.
Well, then now you have photos and stuff to add
Yeah,
to it.
and that's what was the hard thing.
Yeah.
And people could sniff it. They're like, these people are brand new. Like we didn't have puppy photos. We had 3-week-old, 4-week-old, 5-week-old. We didn't have any adult dogs except for our one dog. We had to try to make the website look like we know what we're doing, and it was tough at first. But once we had a whole litter of puppies and some information, it was like, bing, bing. We were getting inquiries like every few days.
This is so.
But we had no puppies. Like we're sold out.
So you're like, you
We're
gotta
like-
wait.
And
Waiting list.
somebody else would have just been like telling people, sorry, I'll let you know when I got newer. I won't. Right off the bat, Katie was like, we don't have puppies now, but you can place a deposit on her next litter. And I was like, and they were like, okay. And we were like,
So smart.
before we had the next litter bred, we had a fully booked wait list of people that are going to buy puppies from our next litter. And we were like,
Wow.
and I remember we were like, okay, this is working. And now I see like it's out there. The website has done its thing. People want our dogs, and there's a market. We just did not. It just took a lot longer than a week, to get out, to get noticed. And it was like, what are we gonna do? She was like, I know what we're going to do. We're going to buy another breeding dog. And I was like, that is the correct answer. Because we can't wait a whole year to have another litter.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And so, because we got a wait list. So we found another breeder that had 2 dogs. And we scored a deal where we said, we'll take both of these dogs. They said, I got 2 dogs. Can't use my program. They're of age. Great dogs. I mean, now I look back, they were spectacular dogs. I mean, these were cream of the crop. And she had already done tons. She, like, knew bloodlines of Australian Labradoodles. Like, she knew it going all the way back to Australia. Like, my wife was very, like, pedigree research, like, was her thing. And she goes, these dogs come from, like, it. These are good. And I was like, two at once, you know?
Can we handle that?
She is willing to give us a deal. We've already had a litter. We have another puppy that still has never been bred that we bought as a puppy, like, waiting for it to get old enough. And she's like, we now exist as a legit breeder. Mm-hmm. We are literally in the club. And she was like, you know, I don't usually do this, but I'll sell this dog on terms. Like, they'll come to you bred, or one of them will. One of them should come into heat in the next, few months. Once you've, sold the puppies from that litter, pay me back for the dog. And it was like no-brainer. Yeah. So we did that. Had 2 dogs fly to us. One in particular. One is still alive. This was 14 years ago. Mm. And I'm selling her a second dog because, she's not going to last forever. 14 years is pretty old for one of our dogs. Yeah. And I'm getting her a second dog now. It's one of the dogs named Millie. And we had it in a guardian home. So we had this dog, had another dog, had a litter. And, we had a fully booked wait list like before they were born. It was like, and I remember telling people, we're like, hey, we're going to have a second litter. And they were like, you're going to what? Mm-hmm. Are you crazy, Miles? And I'm like, just you wait and see. Like, this is going to be big. And they were like, oh, what about that? I'm pretty sure you're going to be broke.
Yeah.
And I go, just got to trust us. You just got to trust me. And, so, I was all in, like, this is it. And I'm still working a day job like normal. And she's, like, doing this. And we're having, like, a litter. And then, like, 6 months later. So we had this dog, had a litter, and also had 10 puppies. That's a big litter. Both litters were big. First litter was 10 puppies. Second litter was 10 puppies. We held dogs back from the litters. That was part of the plan. It was like, you can't sell them all. It was like, but people want them. And I could have the $2,500. It's like, but if you keep it, and you don't sell it for $2,500, it's worth $10,000 as a breeder for you. Yeah. You can either go buy one or you can keep one, or keep 2 just in case. And that was hard because it was like, I would like to have $2,500 at that time. We were like broke young kids, practically. And she was like, nope, you gotta, can't do that. It's like, you cannot get rid of your seed money, know. And so, man, it was like rocket launch. Not everybody has this path. Like, they just get burned or something, or dogs don't take, or they end up not passing health testing, but it worked out for us. The website was incredible. Tons of interest. Next litter, boom. Sold out before they were born. It was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
This has opportunity to scale. And it was
that was your second litter?
That was our second litter. So now we have this third dog that came to us similar, sisters, actually, full sisters. So, like, heat cycles are close. And it was like, on the next one, I think the price needs to go up. So they're going to be $2,600. And at that time, I don't think we knew any other breeder that was $2,600. But it was like, we have more demand than there is supply. That only can mean one thing. The prices are too low. So let's just see what happens. So we made it $2,600. It didn't even slow down. In fact, it increased. Because the average person said, yeah, we've been shopping around and we saw you guys. And there was another breeder that was a little bit less, and I thought that seemed not right. So we decided to go with you guys. And she's like, told you. And it's like,
that's okay. Crazy.
So we were selling, they were a good profit margin. It's at the time, we were thinking, this is what dogs should be sold for, because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But plenty of people do it in a very, just a way that's, like, not ethical. Like, they're not taking good care of them. All kinds of vet costs. Things can happen. The food, we're feeding the premium, the most expensive food we could find, supplements, doing extra work with them. Right, so second litter, we hired somebody. And she was like, all right, here's the deal. So we went around, we toured the country just traveling and stuff, and we wanted to meet as many breeders as we could. And every single breeder told us, like, the common thread. Every breeder we met, like, so we're getting into breeding, like, got any advice for us? You know, they're like, get into breeding, say goodbye to your life. I mean, I hope you never want to leave your house, because you never will.
Right.
And you'll never go on vacation again. And we just were like,
True.
that sounds crazy. How do we have this work and we still get to go on vacation one day? And Katie had it kind of planned out. It was like, we need to hire part-time help. It's like, can we afford that? You know? And it's like, well, based on the sales, we should.
Yeah.
You know? So the second litter we ever had, we had part-time help that would come in and help clean. Because we had a crazy routine of cleaning. We figured out how to make that not as difficult.
How did you hire someone that knew
we
what
just
to do?
put it on Facebook.
Okay.
Maybe Indeed, Craigslist ads. I don't even remember what it was.
And someone who you could trust.
Yeah. We didn't know them. I mean, we just put out an ad for employment.
Yeah.
And we just interviewed some people, found a great gal, it was local,
Awesome.
that worked in like a dog boarding facility, and she's like, I love dogs. And so we're like, cool, you're hired. And
Yeah.
she helped us clean, do stuff, take care of puppies. She loved it. I mean, it was, 10, 20 hours a week, but only for like 4 weeks. When they're real young, there's very, little work, and they get progressively more intense, the amount of cleaning you do, especially once they start eating real food. And so we'd have that, and it's like, at the end of the litter, it's like they've all gone home. It's like, I don't really have anything else that I can have you do here.
Yeah.
So that was tough. She was like, well, when you have your next litter, I'm working part-time, something else, and she was fine with that. And then we had another litter, and I think we hired 2 people, because it was like, we could have somebody in the morning and then somebody else in the evening, and we started doing that, and we would take care of all the other stuff, and she's running the business, taking care of sales, and it was like, the math still works. There is a profit margin even when you hire some people out, and the profit margin was less, but it was like, this is the key to eventually having freedom and profit.
Yeah.
Because if you just do this other stuff, you're going to get burned out. We're going to be the people that are like, you can't leave your house ever because you got so many dogs, nobody can take care of them.
Yep.
Because now we're starting to personally have a bunch of dogs, and then we started placing some in what we call guardian homes so we could grow our program. Then we had a goal. It was like a 5-year plan of, we want to have 30 dogs in 5 years. It's like, well, how do you get there step by step? You don't just go buy 30 dogs one day. It's like, all right, this litter, we need to hold 2 back. Hopefully both pass health testing, but maybe only one will. Okay. Then we're going to have another litter. You got to hold 2 back. Okay, now we have 4 here, plus those 2. That's 6. And then we're going to buy a dog from somebody, because we got to have different, lines. Sorry, somebody was texting me, calling me like 10 times in a row, and I thought, is it important?
That happens. All good.
Yeah, so we built this up. We had an aggressive plan of, this is how many dogs you need to hold back or acquire each year to get to this number. Maybe it was 20 dogs. We probably wanted like maybe 15 or 20. I don't even remember. I remember it was like, in 5 years we need to have this much. We had a goal. This was back when $100,000 a year was like the zenith of, like, if you hit that number as income, like, you're like a millionaire,
Yeah.
And it was like, this is the goal. The goal is, how do we get to $100,000 a year? Now we know what profit margin is per dog, and it's like, you got to have this many litters, and how do we get there? And like, that was the goal. It was like, we wanted to have a paid for, we wanted to buy a house in cash. That was one goal. That did not happen. But we wanted to do that, and we wanted to have enough dogs that, we could have $100,000 in actual income.
Yeah.
It was like, this is the game plan. It was like, we need to stick to it. And there were times when it was like, shouldn't we take the profits and maybe go buy a different car?
Yeah.
Because like, car's getting a little old and it's not that cool of a car. But I could like just go buy a car with cash.
Yeah.
Or we could go buy another breeding dog.
Yeah.
It was like every single time we had that thought, it was like, go buy another breeding dog.
So it's like every time you had a litter, though, it probably wasn't always 10 puppies.
No, it wasn't.
So you had to always budget every single time.
It was totally different.
Right? Yeah.
Statistical average was more like 7.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
10, we got spoiled is what it was. The first 3 litters all had 10.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Yeah, one of them might even had 11 or something, but it was like big litters, and then it was like, that's a lot of money when you sell 8 of them out of 10.
Yeah.
And like there was some profit. Like, I mean, at the end of the year, we had very little profit. I remember like the first year we probably showed on, tax returns like $3,000 in profit because we went and bought another breeding dog. So it was like, we did make 13, but we really only made 3 because we bought another $10,000 breeding dog. And next year, it's like we had $30,000 in the bank. It's like we better go buy 3 breeding dogs.
Yeah.
And there was a certain point when it was like a litter would make about $10,000 in profit when all expenses were taken care of. And it was like at the time I made $40,000 a year, and it was like I could leave my job if we had 4 more breeding dogs. And so like that became the goal. And there was a while when it was like that was the plan.
Yeah.
And it was right around year 5. I remember telling my work, I was like, I'm getting too stressed out what I'm doing. And I was getting promoted in there, and I was a cabinet maker, and I was like ended up becoming a project manager, a little bump in pay doing that. And then it was a high stress job, just dealing with angry contractors of like, why is my $100,000 order of cabinets late? Like, you better fix this now. And I just owned the job so much that like, I was like, I'll figure it out and I'll stay late and get up. I mean, I just was
So you're doing
pulling
that
my
and
hair
the dog
out.
thing.
And the dog thing. And Katie
Oh
was
my
mostly
gosh.
the dog thing.
Yeah.
I was involved. Like, I'd be doing deliveries on the weekends. I mean, I'd be taking care of dogs. And we had no kids at the time yet. Well, at that time we had, by then we had 2 kids. So life was getting a little wild.
Yeah.
And Katie's wanting to raise kids. Like, she's like, I started my own business so that one day I could have some freedom and do what I want to do, which is actually raise kids and be a stay-at-home wife and mom. And so I started taking over a little bit of it, and then we hired more people. We just kept on increasing. One day we hired a full-time person. Like, they went from part-time, like, I think we can keep you full-time all year round. There just might be some times when it's like, ooh, it works a little light.
Right.
It changed everything. Having an employee was like the greatest thing because it allowed us to like know that we could scale. And then at a certain point, it was like we could have a full-time person, and we kept them busy all year round. Then after a while, it was like, we're busy enough that you can have an assistant. So the full-time person had a part-time person.
And you can go on vacation.
And that's exactly what we have built-in employees. It's like, we're going to leave for 1 week. We're going to go to North Carolina. We're going to try to do it in a time when it's not as busy, but there's still dogs here, and we're not bringing out dogs.
Yeah.
And so we pay somebody to stay at our house for a week. And they were already an employee. It's like, okay, I'll stay at your house. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And paid them. We took like, we never didn't take a vacation like every year. And it was like, beat that statistic. You know?
Yeah.
That's how it's done. It's like the margins are lower than they could be if I did it all myself.
Yeah.
But we have a life
Yep.
and freedom. I mean,
Yeah.
to a big degree. And we took on all the stress of any other things that you can't avoid. But so I tried leaving my day job as a cabinet maker or a project manager. I remember telling them, I got to go. I can't do this anymore. You know, and we had just had some crazy stressful customer that was, I mean, it was ridiculous. And it was like at the end of that, I was like, I can't keep doing this, guys. I'm not going to leave you right now, but like 6 months, I gotta find my way out of here.
Yeah.
And the next day they said, let's go to lunch. And I was like, here it comes, And, somebody else was like, he might just want more money, And he goes, is it a money thing? I go, not really. Like, I need less stress in my life, And the business is getting bigger. We got multiple employees now. At that time, we had, a handful of full-time employees. And I was like the office manager. I mean, I'm the one running payroll and doing, so Katie was doing stuff, but the kids were, it was like, a level of like, I'm doing more, she's doing a little bit less. The employees are people that we tell what to do every day. They're not managers.
Right.
And, they took me out to lunch and they said, how much more would it take to keep you a little longer? I was like, I go, it'd need to be at least 10,000 more a year, And they were like, you do it for 8,000 more? I go, it would be at least 10,000 more per year. Because I'm like, I will leave,
Yeah.
And they were like, okay.
Yeah.
So they gave me a $10,000 a year raise. I was like, dang it. But that feels pretty good too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. So I pushed through about another year. And then I kind of got recruited by another company out of state. Friend of my former supervisor and boss ended up getting fired, get another job out of state, and like me and him were a good team. We're still good friends to this day.
Yeah.
And he's the kind of guy, and I've had a lot of these people in my life, man. It's like people either love him or they hate him.
Yeah.
And like they're generally somewhat hard to get along with.
Yeah.
But the people that know him, like, they just want to follow him,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Like I had this in Boy Scouts when I was a kid. There was a scoutmaster who was tough. and we had tough times personally. Like I was getting to be 17, 18, yeah, not even quite 18. And we just had some personality conflicts. Eventually we like figured it out and we became really good friends. And we just understood each other, you know. And then I had this guy in my life, and he was kind of like my supervisor. And I mean, people did not like him within the company. Customers loved him because he was a great salesman.
Yeah.
He was kind of like, I was like his assistant for a while. Like I was being trained how to be a project manager. So I would just like do whatever. I'll do all the back end work and get it done, you know. And we just got along really well. I knew what he was thinking. I'm on his wavelength, you know.
Yeah.
And eventually they just couldn't deal with him. They let him go. And then I was like the guy left over taking care of all the stuff. And anyway, I ended up getting recruited by a company in St. Louis. And it was like, here's the deal. Same type of work, same customers. You come out here, you work for Sam, you know, a little bit maybe, alongside him some, because he talks a lot about you, says you're good. And, you know, maybe come out once a month for a few days or a week or less, or, you know, here and there as needed. We'll pay you more, but, you know, you got to work from home. I was like, I'll twist my arm, you know. This would be dumb not to take this. So I accepted that job, and that gave me a bit more freedom at home to like manage whatever as well as do work, set up a home office. That was very tough working from home. I thought it was going to be great. People are just pulling you in 10 different directions. You got kids crawling all over you. Everybody thinks you're home. But it's like, I'm not home. I'm working right now. I need to be on the phone. I need to be doing stuff on the computer. But you keep calling me in for lunch or whatever.
That's got to be hard.
That was a big part of the stress in our relationship, is that I just like never stopped working. It's like I came home to work like less. But I ended up working like I could never turn it off. 24 hours a day. It's like if there's a problem, I can't turn my phone off. I cannot stop looking at my phone. I got to check email. I got to do this. I got to check Facebook. I got to be all over it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I'm like an angry, just on edge, you know, yelling at kids or whatever. And Katie's like, she was having none of that, you know. That was a big part of, you know, some of the problems that we were having. She's like, I think we should go back to marriage counseling. And I was like, been there, done that, you know, no thanks, you know. She's like, well, something's got to change, or else. You know, I'm like, it's fine. You don't even know what bad is, okay? You know, this could be a lot worse. And it could, you know, it could also be a lot better, you know? And so, and yeah, she didn't grow up she grew up in a pretty low stress household, you know? So I feel like she didn't see like yelling or craziness or you know, I grew up a little bit differently. But, you know, I mean, I was young, and then life changed, and my mom came to the Lord and things like that. And but I felt like, you got it really good. You don't even know how good you have it, you know? I'm not yelling, I'm not slamming doors, but it was very high stress for her. Yeah. To the point where she's like, I cannot live like this, you know?
Yeah.
And, yeah, shoot. I mean, this is like, we got employees, I'm working from home. In some ways, like, life is, like, we're becoming more successful. I mean, we hit that $100,000 mark, and then some. We're like, when we bought a house, we were living, like, in a shack on Panther Lake prior to that, like, saving up money. Because, like, we had money, but it's like, you can't buy it in a house. You got to buy more breeding dogs, you know?
Yeah. Right.
We just need 10 more breeding dogs, and then we could, like, buy any house we want. So we roughed it for a long time on in a small cabin on Panther Lake. And, yeah, I bought a house, moved in there. It's great. So this was probably around 2018-ish. And, yeah, I went and delivered some dogs one day. Went to Chicago, deliver a couple dogs, or a dog with an employee. So it was an overnight, came back the next day. And when I came home, the house was really clean. And she was sitting on the couch. And I'm like, oh, the house is really clean. She goes, yeah. And I go, where are the kids? She goes, they're at my parents' house. And she handed me a letter. And she was like, I told you enough times I cannot live like this. And she packed up and she moved out with the kids.
Wow.
And moved in with her parents.
Wow.
I was
giving cold chills from
I was like,
wow.
What? You know?
Like, you didn't see it coming, like,
oh my
like
gosh,
that
I did
that
not.
time?
I did not see that coming. And to be fair, she told me enough times.
Yeah.
And it's like, I guess you did say that.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't think you would do that.
Yeah.
It was rough. It was rough. I was like, what the heck is going on? So yeah, I was like in the fall of 2018. And meanwhile, we're like, we're going to church every Sunday. We're still going to church together. Like, she's like, well, I mean, you should definitely be in the kid's life. I'm not trying to like rip the kids out of your life, but it's like, we can't live like this, And I'm still trying to be like defending myself. Like, this is not that bad. This is an overreaction, And apparently not, I mean, I don't think she overreacted. I think it was perfectly justifiable.
Yeah.
Because
Maybe she had to
was brutal.
make her point.
It was brutal.
Right.
It was not good for her, know.
Yeah.
It was not terrible for me, but it was really not good for her.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it like that. Yeah, so boy, she moved out. I was like, this is going to blow over. I mean, it's not going to go on for 6 months, foreshadowing. And yeah, I thought a couple weeks later, we're going to talk this through. I am a slick talker. This is a bump in the road. And then I was like, I think we should go to marriage counseling, let's work on some things. And she was like, been there, done that. I was like,
wow.
Dang it, that's what I said. I was like, come on.
Wow.
So I just started going anyway on my own. And I was like, I got to fix this. This can't be how life is going, you know? Neither of us believe in divorce. I don't know what's going on here, And we did do stuff together. I mean, it was a wild time because there were some weird ups and downs during that where it's like I thought things were going great. I was like, we're doing so good. Like, I figure you're going to move in like this week. And then she'd be like, no, like, what are you talking? Like, are you delusional? Like, I thought it was going good. She goes, I don't know that it's going to be good. You've done enough of this, like, fix things for a little while, and then it's back to being trouble,
Strong-willed she is.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'd say.
Setting boundaries, like, what the heck,
Yeah.
It was like, all right, try again, and so we did work through a lot of things. I mean, in marriage counseling, it took a long time. It took like 6 months. It was like the spring. Actually, it was March, somewhere around March. And I don't know what happened. We were in the middle of building. I don't know if you've ever seen our house.
No.
It's an incredible house. So we had a house that we lived in, and we were in the middle of building our dream house. We started in like 2017. We started building. So all 2017, all 2018. I mean, it was just about done. Like, we had furniture in there. And she moved out. Like, the house was not ready to move into yet.
Yeah.
But she moved out, moved into her parents, and I'm in our old house. And it's like, we got our dream house up the road here.
Yeah.
Like, we're supposed to be moving into that. We just got the certificate of occupancy. We can move in right now if we wanted to. Let's do that. She was like, I really don't want to move into that. We're not moving in together. Like, just not happening. Because I don't think anything's... I think we're just going to go right back to what it was. And it was like, oh... So literally this house just sat empty. Like, ready to go. Sometimes I just go over there and hang out. And just like, here's this empty house with nothing in it. Some furniture and stuff. And it's like, what a time. What are we going to do with this house? Like, sell it? Like, what's your plan here, Like, you think about getting divorced? And she's like, I don't know about that. I don't know what. I just know that we cannot live together right now. And there was no, like, real plan of, like, wait some time, it was like, she was like, I don't know, but I'm sure I'll know it when I see it. And it was rough. It was rough. And, yeah, boy, and then I thought things were getting better again. And then it turned out, she was like, no, not enough. And it's like, I'm wondering, like, this might really be the end. I still keep on thinking, like, I just need to try a little harder, And, yeah, so sometime in March, I don't know what happened exactly, but she was just like, you know what? I know that nothing's going to change permanently. So I can't live with my parents forever. Like, this is crazy. What we need to do is I'm going to move into the house with the kids, and you can figure out what you're going to do, and we'll figure out something, in a custody type agreement. And it was like, this is not even happening to me.
So how long was that? Like when
It's
she
from
moved
like
out
October to March.
Okay.
So what's that? 5 months maybe-ish.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is crazy. And at that time, we had actually, we started a new business. Yeah, because that was into 2019. We had actually acquired another business, a boarding kennel that basically we just like inherited. I mean, not inherited, like we were like handed to us. Like, it's an existing business. Do you want to take it over? Pay us rent every month, and here it is, turnkey, had customers.
Wow.
So I was like, yeah, we should do that. Meanwhile, like we're in the middle of all. We actually started that process already, and then like we're like not living together. I was like, well, this is something we should, take on this business. I said, it'll be my thing. I'll take it over. So I ran this dog boarding kennel.
Wait, and you were still like doing the work from home thing too?
I should fit. So I worked for the other company, worked from home for about 3 years. Yeah, 2015 to 2018. And then I told him, I said, we got to build a house. I go, business is getting big. We got a lot of employees. I got 10 employees. I got 12 employees. It's starting to cost me money. Like, I'm ready to hire an office manager, and I'm about to offer them like as much or maybe even a little bit more than I make, because that's what the market is. And so I said, I gotta.
Yeah.
Literally, it's costing me money to work for somebody else. So, yeah. So I started working full time from home. I did like the job of an office manager, and life was still funny. Life was still stressful. Like, it's just different. It was like I thought it was because I was working for other people and always on, but it was like I also was always on and never
the
off.
stress just shifted.
When it was our own business, because we wanted to raise kids more. Now we have 3 kids, and you want to homeschool and do that. And they're getting older, and it's like she's like, I want to be doing a lot less in the business. Like, I love the business, but like I want to do a lot less. I'm like, we will not make enough money if you do less.
Yeah.
And we started with, we're going to have our own business so we can have some freedom in our life. And it was like, I can't lose you. You're the brains of this operation. And she was like, I guess we'll have to close our business. I was like, are you out of your mind? Like, how are you coming to those conclusions?
We can't do that.
Well, we need more money to have more fun,
Yeah.
And she's like, none of that's worth it. She goes, money is not that important. Like, and she meant it. Like, she absolutely would have just been like, I guess we're done. We will close this business so that I can raise my kids. We'll figure it out. But if this is what's causing us all the stress, we don't need it. And I was like, that can't happen, And anyway, so she was trying to do less. I was fighting against that a little bit, even though I believed in like, I want you to be a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home wife. But in reality, I was like, you can't do less than you're doing. Like, we need you. Nobody's going to be able to sell these dogs like you can or whatever. And she's like, oh, well, And I was like, all right, well, maybe we can compromise. Maybe, we'll get you down to like, 20 hours a week. She goes, no. She goes, I'm thinking a lot less. Like maybe 1 or 2 hours a week. I was like, that's not enough to do anything.
Yeah.
And so actually, around that, we started clocking in. We had her clock in. We weren't like on. We didn't clock in. We run a business. We do whatever it takes. She actually clocked in for like probably 3 weeks straight. Just whatever she's doing. She's answering emails. She's doing stuff, meeting with employees, managing things. What we thought was only 20 hours a week already. We thought she is part-time. She's raising kids. She's got the house. And then she just does a little bit with the business. It felt like part-time. But what it actually was about 37 hours a week on average.
Wow.
She goes, here's all the data. Clocked in. This is how much we actually work.
Wow.
I go, I thought it was a lot less. Turns out it's a full-time job, and you have another full-time job of raising kids.
Yeah.
Okay, I see this. Anyway, so part of the deal, because we determined some things in marriage counseling that were like, trying to find the sources of stress. Obviously, you can't just say, okay, I guess I do no more things. But it was like, a big part of it was I'm trying to work and have kids around, or I'm trying to work in the living room when kids are there, and they're all screaming and running around, and they're bothering me and clawing me in the eyeballs or whatever. And eventually, I snap. And it's like, get out of here, And she's like, none of that. You could never do that, ever. It's like, I hate myself for being like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how not to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, apparently you need to go clock in and go work somewhere else, go get an office somewhere or something. I'm like, yeah, but I like sitting on my couch while I work on a laptop and answer emails because I feel like I can get anything done. You know, she goes, no, you can't, you know. So this is all with the help of a really good marriage counselor a little bit. And I thought about, like, how am I going to fix, like, my family here? And, like, trying to analyze what my real problems were. And, yeah, so at some point I had something like an epiphany, which was really just listening to her suggestions of pretty much. I said, all right, I've got it. We were making a lot of money at that time. What I felt like was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. I mean, we were making a substantial income, and we had employees. Our stress level was through the roof, but I felt like we're making a lot of money. And I said, all right, I think part of the plan is, like, we need to hire more people, not, like, just do less work. And so I said, I mean, I'm always doing projects. I mean, I'm the handy guy around the house. If a light bulb's got to be changed, that's me. If a fence is broken, I'm going to go change it. I got to go build some stuff for the dog, that's me. And I'm running payroll, and I'm doing office-type stuff, and I'm trying to sell dogs, and I'm trying to help out around whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just all-time crazy. And I said, all right, here's how we can accomplish everything that we want to do. I go, I think here's the solution. We need to hire a full-time dog trainer who is like a manager of dog trainers who, like, we can train. It's going to be hard at first. He's going to handle the trained dog aspect, which is a huge part of our business. Instead of Katie being the main dog trainer, telling other trainers what to do every day. I go, we're going to find a trainer that can replace you. He's not going to be cheap. I go, next, I need to hire, like, a personal assistant for me. Like, a guy who can just do handy. I got 6 months worth of projects. I always feel like if I get this project done, I probably will have no more projects for a while. And I've not found the end yet. So I go, we're at a level where we need somebody to do stuff of, like, whatever it is. Shoveling the driveway. I mean, like, all that stuff that's like, I guess I'll do it because I'm the dude. But I can't actually do it all. So I go, I need a personal assistant. We need a dog trainer, manager. I go, and you need a personal assistant that is more than, like, somebody you tell what to do, but does everything that you would do. We need an office manager. And we're talking to my friend who was my earliest business partner. Like, dude, here we are on the level of our business. Marriage is kind of falling apart. I'm thinking about a business manager or a business office manager. And he's like, dude, you need that yesterday. How much are you doing in sales? I was like, we're doing a lot more, like $500,000 a year in sales or more, $600,000 a year. It was like, you can afford that, you know? And I'm like, this is a lot of payroll, and these are not minimum wage employees, not one of them. But we need them all. We need them all right now. And so I sat Katie down. I was like, listen, like, I'm not losing my family. I'm not losing it. I go, and I know the solution, and the solution is we're going to hire people. And I go, it's going to be about $150,000 in payroll, maybe more, maybe 200 with all the benefits and whatever. I go, but if we make $200,000 less, we aren't going to feel like we make a lot of money, but we're going to be okay. And, like, I will give up $200,000 in profit to save what I got going on here. And she was like, well, you know, I was like, the most important thing is that you can stay home with these kids and do whatever you got to do. You just got to help me though. Cause, like, I can't just train what you do, but we need somebody who makes a whole lot of money and can try to replace some of what you do. And then you can, like, do a whole lot. Okay. An hour or two, like maybe an hour or two a week. I'll need that still, I think. She's like, okay, you know? And so in a lot of ways she was in, and that was a big part of it. I was like, this isn't the whole solution. This is a part of it. We need to get the stress out of our life, and we need to buy some of our freedom back. And I'm gonna make winning you and the family back like a full-time job if need be. And I thought that was gonna be like, oh, let's move in together tomorrow. It didn't quite go that way. It was like that was part of it. It was a big part of it. You know, it took time to train people. But our biggest turnaround, so we were, like, on that trajectory though of, like,
things getting better.
Things were getting better. It's like, okay, we're training people. Like, this hopefully will work. And boy, at some point in the mix of all that though, she came and said, "This isn't going to work though. Like, and we can't live in this house. we are going to move into the house that we built because the kids need a structure and like a real house, not living in like a basement bedroom basically of our parents' house. And I was like, I do not like, once you move into that house, I go, this is our house. Like, we built this house, you know? I go, I really don't like this at all. And she's like, figure some solution then. And I said, all right, tell you what. I said, there's this marriage conference coming up at the end of this week. Or, you know, it's very, very soon after. I said, if you'll go to this marriage conference with me, I'll agree to whatever you come up with, you know. Kids, schedule, you move into the house, I'll figure it out, I'll stay at the old house, whatever. But only if you go to this marriage conference with me. Now, we're in the middle of, like, marriage counseling still. And she's just like, no, you know. She's like, I don't think so. She goes, you know, nothing's going to change. Nothing is going to change by going to that. I go, maybe, I know, that's okay. I go, it doesn't have to change. I go, you know, at the very least, we got to live with each other somehow. Even if we don't live in the same house, we're going to raise these kids forever, you know, at least for the next 20 years. I go, we probably should learn a little more about how to get along a little better. I go, so it's got to be good for something. And she goes, all right, maybe. She goes, but I do not want you thinking for 1 second that me going means, like, anything. Like, I'm just going because I just have to agree to this, I guess. And she said, and I'll never forget. She was like, I need you to understand very clearly. Nothing will change the trajectory of the decision that I've made. Nothing. Not one thing. There's no more things you can say or do. You know, and definitely not going to some marriage conference. That's not going to help. And I was like, okie dokie, you know. Starts Friday night in Rochester, you know. I'll pick you up, you know. And she's like, unreal. Okay, you know. And so I remember one of our employees, I remember just telling her what's going on. I was like, well, I'm not going to be here all weekend. We got this thing we're going to. I said, it's a marriage conference, you know. And I told her, I said, we just aren't doing good.
Yeah.
I remember just like bawling my eyes out, you know.
Yeah.
So tough. Because I finally realized, really for the first time, because I was like delusional prior to that, it was like, I just realized, if this doesn't work, this really is over.
Yeah.
I go, man, I never thought this would happen to me. Yeah, it was incredible. So, yeah, so we went Friday night, did that. Generally, you stay at a hotel and you stay over. She was like, no, we're not doing that. We'll just drive home, you know, and we'll go our separate ways. I was like, you know, did the first night. First night was short, you know, a few hours. Drove home so she could be with the kids because like couldn't be away from the kids for a day. And the next day, it's like, all right, we can do a hotel, but separate beds, you know. And I was like, well, step in the right direction, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, it was a very intense marriage conference.
I never heard of a marriage conference till tonight.
I
just so you
haven't
know.
either.
Oh, it's called A Weekend to Remember. It's big, famous. I mean, they have them like every month all over the country.
Huh. Okay.
Big deal. They've been around for 30 years probably. I had heard of them. I've heard of other people going, like, they had a great time. So, and in all reality, there was nothing earth-shattering at this conference. I mean, it helps you. I mean, part of it is like you learn things, you go talk about things. You come back, you learn things, you go talk about things. You work through like a little workbook. It is literally just basic marriage advice. I mean, we've read every book. We went to marriage counseling. We understood everything. So again, I have a pattern of this. It seems like I thought I knew all kinds of things, and it was radical. It was radical. I mean, things started changing, and yeah, at night we slept in the same room, not in the same bed, but it was like things are changing here. And the last day was Sunday morning, so it was like a whole weekend thing. Man, God just did something. I mean, God just did something incredible. There's no other explanation. Because I have never in my life seen her say, this is my decision, and there's nothing I can change without her being 100% serious.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I knew, that's when I knew, like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
She's never going to change her mind, you know. And man, by the end of it, it was supernatural, really. We just worked through a lot of things, and she was just like, I think we're okay. And we're going to be okay.
Wow.
I was like, saying we're going to move into that house together? She goes, yeah.
Wow.
And it's hard to say even what happened, but it was like, I mean, it was a 180 from 3 days earlier. And in that time, though, of that 5 months or whatever, like I had personally done a ton of work on myself and realizing like crazy things that I was doing and trying to change that. Not just trying to be like, all right, I'll change today. And then, I'm back at it
Takes
again.
time.
Like I had to like take real action. And part of that was taking real action of like, if it costs me money, I don't care. Like money's not important. Work's not as important as our life, and we will figure it out some other way if that's what it takes. Shockingly enough, at the end of that year, we did not make much money. I remember like at the end we're like, how can this be? It's like we made $200,000 less this year. And it was like, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. And I mean, the margins were good enough. It was like, we have food in our table. Like we're okay. But it's like, we like lost money this year. And we ended up moving into our new house, like in the spring, like May. I mean, like, a couple weeks later or whatever, boom, moved in. 10 months later, had Henry. And, life was really good. That was a huge, huge turning point. And then God started doing incredible things in my life in particular later that year. Crazy stuff in our church. Fidels, different, words of knowledge. I mean, it was a wild, wild time. It's like, I don't have time to go into all of that, but incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. And there were still some ups and downs, but we powered through them. We worked through them. There were times when I thought, it was bad again. And, but we had more tools in our tool belt to work through things.
Yeah.
And, there were some times when it was like, not great, but it's like, they passed pretty quickly. And then so, that was 5 years ago. Henry was born. Especially the last 3 years in our marriage was like so good. I mean, better than ever. Last 2 years was really good. And then the last 1 year was like, it was so good. I mean, I couldn't even imagine it being better. I distinctly remember thinking over the summer, I go, life is so good. I go, I can't even imagine it being better. I go, business, we went through some lulls, and then COVID hit. COVID was the greatest thing to ever happen to dog breeders. Everybody needed a dog, and they needed me.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. For dog breeders, it was wild. It was hard to actually handle because it was like, we had so much demand. It was like, what do we do? And that rocket launched. I mean, we were already like on a trajectory of like success. It was like we were getting big. We were hitting close to the $1 million a year mark, and then blew past that in COVID, and it kept doing. There was there was a year like it was a zenith year where it was like you could sell any dog. You could sell things that looked like a dog. You could sell a cat and say it was a dog. Chickens. People were buying anything. Yeah. And we kept our standards and kept doing things. We had premium dogs, and it was not hard to sell a dog during then. And then right after COVID, 2022 was rough for the dog breeding world. It was like the bottom fell out, and there's so many people that tried to get into it, so the supply was huge. The demand was low. Bad combo. But yeah, we powered through. Eventually got into Google Ads in 2023. Blew through a lot of money learning some lessons on how to do those, and we had people that we hired and eventually found a way to like make it work, and now like we're in it, and that's part of continued success. But we streamlined. We put around us a bigger team. I mean, we got more management people. We got financial advisors and CPAs to help us like really streamline and like not have like problems or things that were sifting through the cracks. And Katie was able to like not be part of the business like from the day to day. She got a little bored because she did not have to do. I mean, we got it to where it was like the office manager has everything covered. The dog trainer has most everything covered. You just need to pop down sometimes and be like, "What's going on? I see problems. Fix that. Okay, goodbye. I'm done." Yep. Got a big problem? I'll go consult with her, and then I'll go deal with it. And I became the main face of the business more. And we had like a lot of free time. Like it's like I do not need to clock in every day. I don't need to show up at 9 and sit at a desk and like be ready for questions. It's like, you let me know when there's a thing that I need to be involved in, because we have successfully trained people to do almost every aspect. And then, we had so much free time that Kate decided to start some more businesses. So we started the flower farm.
Why not?
Yep.
Started the flower farm actually came out of her feeling like lonely, and this was 2018. She got into it, said like, I need to occupy my time with something else. I like growing flowers. You know, a lot of people think it was like, oh, she's just like loves beautiful things. It was like, she was like so depressed that she's like, I need to get out of here and do something else. That's like the real, that's like the real, like, how do you start this flower farm? You know, it's like, that's hard to explain in one sentence, but we got into it and it's been very successful, you know? But I poo-pooed that idea from the beginning too. I said, nobody's going to buy flowers. Not in quantities enough to make money. And I was wrong. That business is growing big time. Yeah. We're going to hit over $300,000 in sales.
Amazing.
Way over. I think that probably $350 this year.
Wow.
And we're going to try to keep growing.
Yeah.
You know,
Good for you.
pardon the pun, but that's going really well. So to kind of wrap up my life here in some ways to catch us to today, because we're almost there. Started other businesses, and then we became, that was one of the things that happened in our church, part of like this earth-shattering like spiritual moment where there was a while when I felt like God maybe has abandoned me, because I just felt like that.
Yeah.
And oh man, it felt like that. And then in the middle of all that, incredible things happened. So it was 2018 or 19 rather, and Katie, we had these people come to our church. You know, come on up, get prayed for, give you a word of knowledge. You know, stuff that we did not have a lot of experience with. I mean, the churches that we grew up in were not quite like that. But we believed in it. I mean, I believed that God could do it. And we saw amazing things happen. And I was like, going through a period in my life where I was getting fired up, like, again, even though I felt like I was like lukewarm or whatever for the past 10 years. And I just felt like I was doing something. One of the things was, and this is all recorded, incredible word of knowledge that these people gave us. They didn't know who we were. They never met us before. And they specifically prayed over us. And she was like, you too, like, dynamic. Like, you guys are going to own businesses.
Wow.
With an S. You're going to be serial entrepreneurs, you know, like multiple businesses. You're going to be very successful. In fact, you're going to have lots of people come around you wanting to learn how to start a business, and you're going to help them. And, you know, God's going to do this for you because, you know, you're going to be given the power to supernaturally give and do incredible things with your wealth. Because you can't give what you don't have, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember we had just, like, gone from being a business owner to, like, we're acquiring another business. And we were about to go buy this lake house. And we were kind of just dabbling in not even, like half of them weren't even, like, they weren't even incorporated businesses yet. They were like an idea and a Facebook page. But it was like, this heading that way. But, like, it just started, I'm like, does anybody tell these people who we are?
How do they know?
You know? And I mean, Pastor Brian, he was like, they have no idea who you are. They weren't from around here. They're from another state. They didn't meet us. We walked into church that night, and I was like, this is so highly specific. That's a weird thing to just say. You wouldn't just say it to some random person. Go, I believe this. You know, you'd be like, I believe God's going to do great things for your life. It's like, really? Thanks. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, now you're going to be, you're going to own multiple businesses. People are going to ask you for help starting businesses, and you're going to give like nobody else. And that's what I thought it was going to be like a word. God was going to tell me I'm going back to seminary or something like that. I'm going to do something more spiritual. And my favorite topic is talking about business. It's just like, we just love it, you know? Like, I feel like we're gifted in it, and we've developed skills, we've learned things, and we just have an eye for it. Like, it's fun. It's like a game to us, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, that was my word, you know, like all about business. And, I remember going away to like, this is radical. And then like over the next year, 2 years, it was like exactly what happened. We were like, boom, boom, we're just starting business after business, and they're all successful. Like, they're not just duds. It's like, these are profitable. You're employing 15, 20 people at a time easily, and it was a wild time. Wild. And, yeah, boom. Short story. Over the summer, business is booming. Marriage is good. Kids are good. Distinctly remember thinking, life cannot get any better than it is. I don't even know how. It's so good. Everything's so good. My life is too good. And it's a lot of ways, it's like, I was right. So, end of September, Katie started having some stomach pain that just did not go away. Went to the doctor trying to figure it out. I thought it was, acid, reflux. I mean, who knows? They're giving her some Tums, basically, and it's like, that's not going away. Finally, went to the doctor's appointment, and it was like, she's in so much pain. And they're like, maybe you should go to I don't know, we could schedule a CT scan or something, or a sonogram. And it's like, unfortunately, that would take a while. And we're like, we can't. She's like, I can't even wait one more day. It's like, you have to go to the ER. It's like, oh, those places are like a war zone, It's like, so we went to the ER. It took forever. Hours of waiting.
Yeah.
12 hours later, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, sonogram, doesn't show anything. CT scan. Comes back in, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. They said, well, this looks like cancer. And it was just like, I'm sorry, what? It's like, what are you talking about? At first, I did not think anything of it. I was just like, whatever. Like, I'm sure it's not. They said it looks like cancer. And so they're like, sorry, we're going to move over to the oncology wing over at the main part of the hospital by ambulance. So we were at like a satellite campus of the hospital. And I was still like, ugh, this is crazy. Like, I fell back asleep. I mean, we'd been awake so long. Got up in the morning. We went over to the other hospital. We're in the oncology wing. We're in there in the morning. We're like looking at everything. And I still at that point thought, they just said it looks like cancer. But it could not. It could be something else.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Katie was like, it's cancer. She goes, and she was just like, basically like, here's the passwords to my phone and email, and like, in case like I don't make it, make sure you do this with the kids, like, don't forget to hug them every night. I'm like, what are you going on about? I go, it looks like cancer, not is cancer. We don't know nothing yet, We got to get a biopsy. We got to do stuff. Like, don't worry about this. Nothing. And then we get like the results, like the official reading of like their CT scan. It's like, multiple, innumerable hepatic lesions on the liver, mass on the cecum. It's like colon cancer. They're like, this is stage 4 cancer. And we're just like, I'm looking at them like, all right, well, let's see what are the chances. I mean, this type of, what are the chances of living? I'm sure it's okay. And it's like, nah, you got like a 13% chance of making it for 4 years, And it's like, it starts to hit you. And then you're waiting for a biopsy. And it's like, all right, we don't have really any answers. Everybody's just talking to us like, I'm sorry, your life is over. They wouldn't say that, but I could tell. Like, they're like, do you have kids? And it's like, yeah, we got 4 young kids. And they're just like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like, sorry for what? Like, what does this mean? Is this untreatable? We didn't know. And then we got the biopsy, the colonoscopy, all these types of things. And I'm like asking the oncologist, like, what are the chances that, like, we get the biopsy and it's like, oh yeah, this is no big deal. He's just like, there is no chance of that. Like, this is cancer. We just need to figure out what kind it is. It's like, okay, that's not good. I was like, what's the prognosis? I've done the Googling. We know what we see, but obviously, like, we don't know what we're looking at when you see these reports. A lot of jargon here. Thought about it for a minute. It's like, 2 years, He goes, I mean, on average, obviously some do better, some do worse, 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and I mean, he walked out of the room and I just lost it. We were in the hospital together. It was like, this can't be. Like, I thought we were going to grow old together. Like, we got kids. Like, life was too good right now.
Yeah.
It was like, well, maybe there's things we don't know. So let's see what the biopsy says. We were in the hospital for a few more days, had the colonoscopy, And we were thinking we might start chemo before we leave here, And they're like, well, yeah, hopefully we'll get results quickly. 2 days later, they're like, oh, it could be a week before you get results. And it's like, oh my gosh, So they said, well, we'll send you home and let you know. We got discharged, still not knowing. Got pulled in our driveway in our house, and then boop, the little notice came up on our MyChart thing. It's like, all right, here's the biopsy results. Small cell carcinoma, high grade neuroendocrine tumor, hepatic lesions, and whatever, like a bunch of stuff. It's like, I don't know what any of this means. And at the time, we were talking with, we had a team of people that were friends that were like, I work in the medical industry. I'm going to find somebody who's going to figure out I'll put you on, we'll find a clinical trial. I don't care if it's in Russia, And he's like, man, Miles, I know you. You guys would do anything. And you got the flexibility and the wherewithal. It's like, what if it was in Switzerland? I'd be like, we'll move there tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Don't care, And so he actually put me in touch with CEOs of liver cancer drug manufacturers. They're calling me on their personal cell phones. And I'm like, what are we dealing with here? So finally, I'm waiting. I'm like, hey, we got the biopsy results. He's like, we really need that to know what we're dealing with. Forward it to this one guy. He gets back to me. He calls me right back. He's like, are you aware of what this says at all? And I'm just like, I have no idea what this stuff means. I can't even decipher the words. But I know when I Googled it, it's no longer 13%. It's less than 5% making it to 4 years. He goes, this is a really aggressive, high grade, means fast growing, super rare cancer. You're not going to qualify for any clinical trials that I know of, and I can search all of them. You won't fit the bill for any of those. And there's lots of clinical trials that happen. One could come along. He goes, I don't know of one that's accepting things for this because it's just so rare. There's not a lot of stuff. He goes, you need to get treatment immediately, And I'm like, what are the chances of anything? He's just like, I gotta be honest with you. This is really not good, And it's like, all right. So it took another week and a half before we started chemo. I mean, every day that went by. In fact, we had not started chemo yet, and Katie was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it for the weekend because the pain is so bad. And we're taking, pain pills best we can. Finally, we're taking oxycodone. She's just sleeping all day just to not feel the pain. And of course, I turned into a full-time researcher of time to go join every Facebook group I've ever heard of for colon cancer. And then I realized it's neuroendocrine. That's a different level. And then it's small cell carcinoma. And then it's high-grade tumors. And then I realize I'm in the wrong group of high-grade tumors. You need to be in the, forget the neuroendocrine, you need the high-grade neuroendocrine. It's then I finally found we did a DNA test, and it's a BRAF mutation. It's oh, new group. It's I went from a group that had 150,000 people for colon cancer, support, and then it's neuroendocrine. Well, there was only 2,000 of those people in the group. And I'm looking for names. Who's got the same words in the diagnosis? Can I, who's alive, And it was one after another. It's here's a person. Oh, look at that. They posted 2 years ago. They just got diagnosed with that type of cancer. Let's click on their profile. Shoot, they died after 18 months. And I would just find that again and again and again. I couldn't find hardly anybody who was alive for more than 2 years. Found 2 people that were alive for 4 years. One was still alive, but it was still just at the 4-year mark. It was well, I found a person, who's still alive. The longest one I could find alive was a little over 4 years. And they had just died, literally. I was oh my gosh, because it was a new treatment that had started. This was actually, we took chemo. She started feeling good after chemo. I mean, other than chemo side effects.
Yeah. Then
she was off pain meds, off nausea meds. It was oh my gosh, this is working. We're going to be one of those exceptional cases. And I knew with the few weeks of research, I was the chance of making it to 7 years is 0%. Statistically, there's nobody that's ever done it. Yeah. There's no chance, other than a miracle, other than a new treatment coming out. But there's not even enough funding for these types of research because there's 800 of us in the world who have this. There's just not a lot, or in the U.S. maybe. It's too rare to know, and we just don't know. It's neuroendocrine tumors don't respond to chemo generally. That's one of the unique things about them, which is why they're so bad. Tumors, surgery is all you can do, but high grade, different. Chemo sometimes responds. And so we got on one, they were like 80% of the time chemo response, you have a response with this chemo. And a month and a half later, had another scan, it was still growing. But she had about a month of feeling okay, where we just got our hopes up. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be fine. We're going to be here for years. Like this is, I don't know how long it's going to last, because I know that after a while, chemo just will stop working or something. Or maybe we can shrink it enough. Like we weren't even a candidate for surgery, because it was so many, half the liver was just taken over with an uncountable amount of tumors. And the size of them were also bigger than surgery qualifying. You're taking too much of the liver if you try to do surgery. And so it was like, but maybe we shrink it enough, and that could happen with chemo. It gets down to a certain level. Then we talk about surgery, we talk about radiation. There's things. There's a pathway to possibly make it a long time, and there were some people that were. Man, 1 month of feeling great. We went cross-country skiing.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah. Who killed it? Wow, we haven't gone in a while.
It's charging now. Okay.
Now, where was I? Something about, there was a good month where she felt great. So good. Her belly started shrinking back down. We would walk every day. She's like, we need to do whatever we got to do. We got to stay fit and walk. And so we would walk for 45 minutes every day, all around the farm. We got some workout equipment. It's like, all right, once I feel a little bit better.
What month was this about?
This was probably, mid-October.
Okay.
We got out of the hospital. We went there October 4th, got diagnosed, got out of the hospital 4 days later. And then, had chemo a week later, 15th-ish. A week after the chemo was done, she's feeling better. And it's getting there. So most of November was pretty good.
I remember seeing a picture of you guys in the woods and skiing or something, cross-country
skiing
or something.
Yeah, that was December. We got some snow in December.
Yeah.
So mid-December, went cross-country skiing when she felt so good. She's like, I feel good. Let's go cross-country skiing. We've wanted to do this for years with the kids. There's not been enough snow every year, though. So I went to Osceola and checked them out, did the rentals. They were trying to convince us, you guys should join the ski club. You can come every week, come as much as you want. And I'm like, I do want to sign up for that, and I understand it's a better deal per time. As long as we go at least 5 times, it kind of pays for itself. But I'm also thinking, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if Katie's going to feel good tomorrow. But she's feeling good right now. We were hoping. We almost did it. And I was like, I think if we pay per time, we're still going to be okay.
Yeah.
And so we went once, had a great time. It was really fun. Kids loved it. And then the next week, or a week after that, was the next week, we were like, let's go again. We'll check out the other place across the road, and we'll see how they go. And we did another day. We're like, these are good times. There's a lot of good times. And, she had another scan. So, did 3 rounds of chemo every 3 weeks. So, 9 weeks after we started. Now we're into mid-December. And she had another scan scheduled. And, the day of her scan, she started feeling the pain again like she did in the beginning. And it was like, ooh, that's not good. This is supposed to be shrinking continuously, not having any pain. This must be, is it from something else? Is it a different place than it was originally? She goes, exact same spot. It's like her liver, And then I started realizing, this might not be good. And so, boom, go to the appointment a few days after the scan. Man, it was so much anxiety. Because it's is it the same or less? I hope it really is. They just took a long time to come back in that room. And it was they walk in, it's all right, so here's the deal. The liver's definitely growing still with the cancer. The mass on the cecum, part of the colon, he goes, hard to say. Might be the same, maybe. Or maybe the mass is different. The liver, hard to say, but it's definitely not shrinking. Pretty sure it's growing, but we need an official read from somebody else who is going to really analyze. But I even got all the other oncologists to all come in and look at it together. It's it's definitely not shrinking. It's growing. And it's we feel the pain. And it's okay, so we can be done with that chemo because it's obviously not working. So let's figure something else out. And I already done so much research. I was like, this was the A grade chemo for this type of cancer. Everything else after this is going to be a wing and a prayer. Maybe it'll do something. Some people do have a response to other things, but this was supposed to be the best. I thought, man, this could keep it at bay for years if it works. Oh, and it took forever to start the next one because they kind of want the chemo to get all out of your body before start the next thing. We discussed different possible things that had likely side effects that were like so scary that they were like the first 2 doses you do, we admit you in the hospital in case like, you know, your blood pressure spikes, you need oxygen, you might need to be on a ventilator.
Wow.
Like we got to bring you back down to earth. Thankfully, we know how to deal with that now if that happens. Yeah. And all I heard from that was there was a moment when you started experimenting with this new drug and you didn't know. And people were dying probably just from the reaction. They're like, but we do know how to treat it if you have that reaction. You don't always have the reaction, but you might. I was like, okay, well, that's super scary too. And so we waited. And then, no joke, man, this was like another like roller coaster of emotion. We went home next day. They said, hey, because we did that DNA test early on for your mutation type of cancer, there's actually a whole protocol medicine just got released like today that has a pretty good chance of working on your cancer type. And I like, sure enough, you Google it and it's like, you know, FDA posted on Facebook that morning, press release, cancer.org posted, it's like Braftovi and cetuximab, you know, more effective, approved for first-line defense for, you know, cancer types with BRAF mutation. It's like, this is big-time news. Like, it went through phase 1, 2, 3 of trials, and it was like, it's so good, get it out there. And I was like, oh my gosh, this didn't even exist. I didn't even know this existed in my whole time of researching. Yeah. Because it was like in clinical trials that like I would have no business, like necessarily, I didn't know about the mutation type. And it was like, oh, this is so much hopeful. I mean, just when you thought this is the end, it was like, more hope. You know, this is going to be it. And I started finding Facebook groups about using that type of medicine. And then it was like, hey, by the way, your cost is $10,000 a month for this medicine. It was like, you mean that's the cost or that's my cost? Like, it's more than that, but that is your cost. And it's like, how long do you do that for? It's like, no, you do it forever. You do it until it stops working. And maybe it works for 2 months. Maybe it works for 3 months. I found one guy who had been on it for 4 years. He was part of the phase 1 of the trial. And every month, $10,000. I mean, insurance can cover it, hopefully. You hope they do. You don't know. We go in like, okay, you got to pay for it first. And then our insurance like, we might approve it. They probably would have. So that was pretty scary. Like, it might cost us $120,000 a year to keep her alive. That's rough, you know. Can we do that forever? You know, it's like we can do it for a little while because we're financially well off, and like. But I go, that's gonna be depressing if we could just eventually get bankrupted and then she dies, you know. And you know, it had like a 30% chance of working. Some response means maybe 2 months, you know, not necessarily forever. And so we waited a little bit, started on that, and we took the first dose. Day before Christmas. Day before Christmas. The next morning on Christmas Day, she woke up like in rough shape. I mean, just like my eyes hurt, my whole body aches, every joint, everything hurts. And it was like, this is not good. It's like, well, that's kind of part of the side effects of this medicine. So the next day we take it again. And she wakes up, she's even worse on day 2. And then we take it a third day. And we're like, this isn't good. She's getting dehydrated. She can't keep food down. I mean, she's throwing up was like so much part of this because it's like your whole body just feels rough. So we're on pain meds. We're trying to adjust pain meds. Like, I mean, it was like a full-time job for me and her mom to basically be like her nurse. And that was true for like a month. I mean, for the whole time, really. But when she got in pain, it's like there are so many different med schedules of like charts and graphs, like a spreadsheet that we had of like every hour we got to take a look at something, you know? Through the night, it's like now we realize you can't even go 4 hours into the night without getting meds. Otherwise, you're going to be in so much pain, you're going to start not being able to keep food down because your pain hurts so much. And so, yeah, man, day 3 of taking that medicine, we stopped and called the hospital. Of course, it's like Christmas week. Nobody's working. So it's like you can't really talk to like the people that should be there of like, should we keep going or should we stop? I mean, there's people oncologists on call, but it's like, well, if you think you're in a lot of pain, you should go to the ER. It's like, can I come into the oncology wing? Yeah. Or the cancer center? They're like, not with those kinds of symptoms. Like, you need to go to the ER. It's like, oh my gosh, we cannot get sick when you're on chemo. You're going to die if you get COVID. I mean, just because you have no immune system. Yeah. And so it's like, we can't go to an ER. with a million people that have COVID hacking on you. And now we're just waiting there. It might be not a big deal to get treated for whatever. We might be just dehydrated.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're going to come out of there with RSV or COVID or who knows what else. And they take for, she couldn't even sit. She could not sit for 6 hours in a waiting room. She just couldn't make it. It got so bad, she couldn't even walk. I mean, literally. I was her walker every 2 hours to go to the bathroom. I mean, I had to practically carry her to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And she was like, everything hurts so much, you know. We ended up calling an ambulance and going to the ER. A different ER, not the most busy one. We got right in Oneida. They did a great job. They were like, you're severely dehydrated. Your kidneys are 4 times worse than what it was a couple weeks ago when you had your blood work done. So they pumped her on fluids. I mean, bag after bag of fluids. And I've seen this happen to my own kids. Like, they get dehydrated, they're little, like they start fading. They get a bag of fluids, and it's like they spring back to life. And we thought this is going to happen. Like, you're just dehydrated, you know. Might even not have had anything to do with this medicine. And they didn't even want to take us at first because they were like, you're a cancer patient? Like, we don't know what we're doing here with that aspect. And they started doing some things, got her fluids back up. Over the next 4 days, she could walk. You know, I mean, things were better, but she was also like blowing up like a balloon.
Yeah.
And she felt better. But we thought, okay, this is it. This was just like a bump in the road. Now what do we do? Because now we're not on any chemo. So there's no treatment happening, but we know it's growing. More pain. So it was, you know, just before New Year's. And then, another week went by, and like the fluid buildup in her stomach she looked like she was 9 months pregnant. And like a month earlier, she is a fit and trim, looks healthy. I mean, she had lost all of her hair, from the chemo, but she had wigs. She was in rough shape. And then it was like her skin started getting more yellow. Her eyes started getting yellow, which is all part of liver not functioning right.
Yeah.
So now we're into the first couple weeks of January. And then, like, we're like, we got to do something about this. And it's like, nothing's moving fast enough. It's like, well, let's try this other. So then we had met with oncologists. We're like, we're going to try a totally different. We can't try that other chemo so that was like the second round or second line of treatment. It's like, I guess we can't do that because you had a major reaction. It totally was not just dehydration. It's got to be from the medicine, so you can't handle it. If it's going to kill you, you can't keep doing that. So let's try something else, which I knew was like not a likely type of chemo. It's, I mean, not like lower chances than even the other one. The other one had 30% chance of working. This was like even less. But it was like, but for some people it does, so let's try that one next. And it's like, well, we'll start it next week. I'm not in on Monday. Like, maybe we'll do it Wednesday. And I'm like, I feel like we need to start this today.
Yeah.
You know? So I was like, all right, we made a plan. I mean, she was just declining in health big time. And we never made it to that appointment, really. She was getting so much fluid buildup. We're like, what do we got to do? We got to call the hospital about this. This is getting bad. She can't even operate, you know? So they're like, oh, we'll do a drain, you know, a paracentesis or whatever. Drain the fluid. And they did that, and I thought she was going to come back home from that appointment and like be like back to normal. And I remember looking at it and be like, did they do it? You know, it's like, oh, they took out 2 liters of fluid.
Wow.
And it was like, it did go down a little, but I thought it would have been like 20 liters.
Right.
I mean, it was so much. Wow. What it looked like. But they said they took everything they could. You know, it's either there or it's not. It's either in a pocket or it's not.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. I said, well, you know, I've done a lot of research on this paracentesis. Like, you should feel a lot of relief because she just felt terrible. Could not, you know. It was like that night, it was like everything was pain from like just doing that whole little procedure. And it was like, well, do you feel better though? She's like, no, I feel worse. It's like, oh my gosh, you know. So this is a Friday night. She's like, I also cannot sleep at all. Like, I'm so uncomfortable. Like, I couldn't sleep all night the night before. So we tried out a sleeping medication. Took that. Really did not help much. Saturday morning, woke up. She was like confused. Like asking weird questions, like what side am I allowed to lay on? I don't know where the thing is. You know, just asking questions that were like, what are you talking about? And I was like, and then she kind of got out of it and was like, oh, I don't know. I thought I wasn't allowed to do something. And I'm like, nobody said you're not allowed to do anything. What do you mean? You know? It's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, let's check out this sleeping medication, it's like, well, mental confusion, that's a side effect. I go, oh, well, maybe it wears off. And then the rest of the day, she was okay. Slept most of the day from other meds. And that night, took the sleeping medication again. Then Sunday morning, went to church. I took the kids to church. My mother-in-law stayed with her. She was still sleeping. I didn't wake her up in the morning. She was sleeping great. I get 5 minutes down the road. Her mother-in-law texts me and says, is Katie, like, confused? I go, she was a little bit yesterday. Yeah, the sleeping medication makes you a little weird. She goes, I don't think so. She goes, I think she needs to go to the hospital now. And I go, you can't go to the ER. If you tell them weird things like, what if it's kidney failure? Because somebody said it could be kidney failure, having mental confusion. I go, we took a sleeping medication. She woke up a little confused and groggy. Yeah. It's a sleeping medication. I go, you start saying you got kidney failure, they're not going to take you in the cancer wing. They're going to send you to the ER, and we're going to go get COVID. And then it turned out you came here because you had a side effect of a sleeping medication. What are you doing here? Yeah. And I go, give it an hour. Let's see what happens. Katie, an hour later, Katie was awake, and she was like, yeah, sleeping medication. Yeah, it makes me feel really weird, And then she was kind of normal the rest of the day. And then that night, Sunday night, gave her some medicine. She slept for a good 5 hours, woke up, time for, different meds. And and we stopped taking that sleeping med. We're like, all right, let's not take that sleeping med. She goes, it doesn't even work anyway. Let's not take it. I go, okay. And she got up 10 o'clock at night, gave her an ibuprofen. She took it. I went back, marked it off the chart. I came back over. She was like, why did I just take 2 pills? I go, you took 1 pill. She goes, I just took 2 pills. I go, well, not for me. You didn't. Where did you find another one? She's like, I just took 2 pills. I go, there's not a chance. I set 1 pill there. You took it. I have the second pill, which is a different medicine, and it's here in my hand. She goes, I took 3 pills. And I go, what are you talking about? I go, you took 1. This is number 2. I go, we do have a third one that we're going to take too. She's like, now I've took 4 pills? And I was just like, this is weird. I go, I'm like trying to like talk to her like a kid. I'm like, what's going on here? Yeah. I'm like, this sleeping medicine, we haven't taken it in 36 hours or 24 hours. I go, let's Google this. How long does this medicine last in your body? It's like, effects for 4 to 5 hours, but can stay in your body for 70 to 100 hours. I go, well, shoot, that's what's going on here. So I finally convinced her. She agreed. She was like, I don't think you're right. But okay. Took her pills, fell asleep, slept like a rock that night. And we decided earlier in the day, like, we're going to call the cancer center. We're going to get her into the cancer center so we can get her rehydrated because she's having a hard time keeping fluids down. Yeah. Like, we know that's the problem. Send them a message, 5 o'clock in the morning, like, hey, as soon as you get this, like, we want to come in soon. Because we can just kind of walk into the cancer center, like almost, we've done it before where it's like, she's dehydrated, like, bring her in right now. Yeah. And boom, they get her hooked up, get her hydrated, we're out of there. Yeah. Easy. So I was like, hey, we want to come in, I think she's dehydrated. They're like, okay. I go, yeah, also, she's been a little confused, I think this new medicine that you guys gave her for sleeping, it's like a little bit of mental fog or confusion. She's like, I'm sorry, say that again. I'm like making her kind of groggy. They're like, when did you stop taking it? I go, well, now 36 hours ago. And she goes, and she's still confused? I go, yeah. And they go, not a chance is that from that medicine? It does not last that long. It never would. She goes, you need to get her to the ER immediately. Like, could be kidney failure. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I heard this yesterday. And I knew, like, right then, I was like, this is not the sleeping medication. And it's like, okay, well, let's go. And I getting Katie up, waking her up. And it had gotten progressively worse. I mean, she was talking to me normal the day before. Weird at night. And I thought, hopefully she wears off more in the morning. She instantly became like a 90-year-old dementia patient. I mean, she's not there. Yeah. I've never been so scared in my life. I just felt like, I felt like this was the end. Like, there's probably, I just think all kinds of things. I was like, there's no coming back from this. Like, this is permanent damage. Like, once your brain, maybe the cancer went to her brain. I don't know. I mean, that's sometimes the next stage. It's this type of cancer. I'm like, she's talking nonsense, doesn't know what's going on. I mean, she's trying to talk to you, but she's just like so confused. I was just going in the closet, just crying, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I missed having her here. Like she just died mentally, and this is it. Like that was the end, you know. Oh man, I came back out of the closet, you know. She's like, why were you crying over there? I was like, who was crying? You know, I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, you were. And she's like, nah, she's not with it. I mean, I was like, no. She's like, you don't have to cry. I'm like, it's all right. You know? I'm like, okay, well, let's go to the hospital. I mean, we got to go get fluids. Like, she thought we were going to go to the cancer center. And I'm packing a bag for her because I know we're not going there for the afternoon. We're there. I'm packing a bag of change of clothes, and she's just like, why are you packing a bag of clothes? I go, just in case, you know, we're there for a little longer, we think. You never know. She was just like, what are you doing? Like, I should just change my clothes now then, shouldn't I? You know, I'm like, sure. Yeah, that's fine too. You know, bring a little extra, you know, whatever. She's like, should I go in my pajamas? I go, I think we need to leave right now, you know, because I don't know what's happening. Man, I came out, she's like in the middle of getting dressed, and I went in the closet, got some other clothes, got the kids, tell them, get dressed, you're going to Grandma's house, we got to go. I come back, and she's just like, staring off into space, middle of getting dressed, didn't know what she was doing. She's like, what am I doing here? You know? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing right this moment. I'm like, you can finish getting dressed, you know? Oh, okay. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is not happening, you know? Got her in the car, got her going, went to the ER, got in pretty quickly, and, you know, started realizing, like, well, her kidneys are really bad now. That's probably what's going on. It's a big part of it. It's like, can we undo this? Like, is there something that can be done? I'm texting, like, nurse friends of mine. And they're like, well, yes, there should be. This can happen. I mean, it usually takes 5 or 6 days to, like, get the blood toxicity. Basically, your body doesn't have a filter. That's what's happening. Right. And so it's like you're drugging yourself. And it does not just like, I thought, like, okay, we give her something and, like, boom, it, like, we see a response. Yeah. And they're kind of like, it takes time, you know, when this happens. But we also don't know what's going on there. Yeah. And we're in another hospital that's really not, like, the main hospital. So, oh, my gosh. And so it was like this. I had never done so much crying in my life. I just knew, like, this was bad. But you still didn't know. You still like, maybe it'll be okay. You know, like, well, then they're like, there are things we can do. Like, definitely, we just don't know why this is doing this. Because she had liver cancer, not kidney cancer. So it's like, what's going on there? And then they do another CT scan. And they had just done it at that same hospital a couple weeks earlier to see what was going on. And they didn't have the first one to compare to because it was a different hospital. But they had done it a couple weeks earlier when we were there. And they were like, this has spread so much since 2 weeks ago. Like, it's not just on the sides of the liver. It's like in the center. I mean, like, they're like, are you aware, like, of your prognosis? Have you talked to anybody? Because we don't have, like, we can't tell you that. I mean, we're a small hospital. Like, has the cancer center told you, like, what to expect here? I go, those are conversations we haven't really had explicitly because we've tried to have so much hope. But I have done enough research privately, and it felt in a lot of ways like I had to keep it to myself because I don't want to spook anybody. But I go, I know it's pretty bad, and I know the chances are low. But we're supposed to be starting another chemo here in 2 days. It's like, I don't know if you'll be able to. You know, they don't know. They're like, well, hopefully, maybe they can help you. But we got to get you out of this hospital and go to the big one. So it took another day of waiting because everything was at capacity with COVID cases, RSV. It was mobbed. I mean, they were turning people away. Unless you were in rough shape, you were not getting in that hospital. So that was brutal because we're just sitting there. They're giving her fluids, trying to keep her awake, and we're having conversations, but it's just a lot of confusion. I mean, we were talking like she's there, she's in there somewhere. It wasn't like she was just out of it, but it's like words are getting mixed up. She's like saying things that just don't make a lot of sense sometimes, but she's like kind of in there. Anyway, long story short, we had to get moved to ICU at Upstate Hospital, and they looked at it. They looked at the chart. They're like, I read your file. Like, if you guys, I mean, what do you guys want to do? I don't know if you've talked about this. I don't know that because I don't know where you're at. But like, do you guys want to keep going? Are you like, do you know what's going on? I'm like, listen, I know. She's awake. She's there. You know, I go, I know. Like, this isn't good. But dude, I know you guys think like she might be like a mental patient right now or something because she's not talking right. But I'm telling you, she's a smart girl. Like, this wasn't her 2 days ago. And they're like, oh, okay. I mean, they're like, they haven't talked to her much. They're like, she seems with it, you know. And they're like asking her a series of questions, like, well, who's this guy, you know? And no, it's my husband, Miles. Well, I'm like, okay, you know, who's this? You know, it's my mom, Peggy. And what's this thing, you know? It's like, that's a pen. And he's kind of looking at me, and he's like, seems pretty good. I go, I'm kind of like, you got to keep going, you know? He's like, what year is it? She's just like, 2020. Just kind of looking off into space for like a solid minute. 2020. And I'm thinking, boy, she probably doesn't even remember having the new year. It was so crazy around here. Probably thinking, is it 2024, 2025? Oh, she's like 2023. I'm like, you know, very confidently, like 2023. All right, who's the president? You know, no, this was before January 20th. He's like, Trump, you know? He's like, that was kind of a trick question. I mean, he like got elected, not quite there. All right, who's the president just before that, though, you know? And she just could not think about it. And he was like, Biden? Joe Biden? She was just kind of like, huh. Okay. Like, almost like, not even sure who that is, you know? To be fair, he hadn't been seen much in the past few years.
Yeah.
But I was like, he's like, oh, okay. You know, I go, he's like, all right, well, what do you guys want to do? You know, it's up to you. I don't want it to go against your wishes. Like, maybe you guys have thought about this. You know, it's the end. I don't know what you know. I don't even know what, I mean, I'm just saying, like, do you want to just, like, not do anything or let it ride? Or you, what? You know, and I go, dude, we got 4 young kids. So there's that, you know? He's like, so pedal to the metal? I go, gotta do anything, you know? Yeah. I go, I know, you know? I know, it's like, we don't have years. I go, but, oh, man. It's the hardest part. I go, you know, I can't have, like, the last thing the kids see her like.
Yeah.
She's not there right now, you know?
Nope.
I go, can we get the mental confusion? Can we do whatever, you know? Is there something else? He goes, well, there's a lot of things it could be. I mean, we know the liver is like, this is in rough shape right now. Maybe there's a blockage. Like, you got this fluid buildup. There could be reasons for this. Like, we got to look into this. Like, is anybody, like, what's going on with the gallbladder? You know, maybe there's something happening there. He goes, there could be something else, like, that we just, nobody, it's a blockage, you know, like, that's why it's declining. Like, maybe we can open that up and do a stent, or, like, you know, we could talk about dialysis. Like, I'm like, yes. Like, I know she's not going to live forever. Like, I know she's not going to live much. I mean, this sure feels like pretty close to the end. Maybe we buy some more time. I go, if we can get her mentally not where she's at right now, that would be incredible. Anyway, he's like, all right, we're going to put you in the ICU. Like, I go, is that, like, good? He's like, he goes, I go, because she needs help all the time. Like, you know, in the hospital for the previous day, it's like me and her mom, and we're like, everything she needs. Like, I need ice chips now. You know, it's like, I want water, you know, I need this. I'm hungry right now, but I wasn't 5 seconds ago. It's like, she had no filter. Like, she was talking like it's her, but it was just kind of funny. And we were laughing, sometimes joking. And, but it would come and go, and we were just like, oh man, it hurt so much to see her, like, just not herself. Anyway, so he's like, ICU. He goes, there's people every 15 minutes somebody's checking on you. Like, you're gonna be fine. Like, let's go and let's do whatever it takes. He goes, you're gonna come to my unit. Like, I am invested now in the story, you know. And like, he was like, yeah, maybe just go to the oncology wing and hang out there. It's like, I was like, you can't just like leave her for a couple hours. And she'll get up and be like, I want to get out of bed and walk around because I know that walking around's healthy. And she's like hooked up to a ton of stuff. She can't. Somebody's got to tell her no, you know. And anyway, so went to the ICU. Incredible team. I said long story short a few times, but basically there was one day. So we were there for a day. They're doing different. They're giving her some different meds. They're trying to like clear out some stuff and do dialysis, but there's some things they could do. And they're like, wait, we got to look and see if there's like a blockage or something. They did MRIs. They got, everything takes time though. We're there. We're talking. We had to go. Her mother had to go home that night. They wouldn't let us stay in the hospital. And she was like, it's okay. She wanted us to stay, but we wanted to stay. They're like, visiting hours closed. She's going to be okay. Don't worry, guys. We went home, slept, came back the next morning. Her mom got there before me. She texted me like when she got there. She's like, I think she's worse today than she was yesterday with confusion. I'm like, oh no. Like, I need this to not be worse, I got there half an hour later. I started talking to her. And I was like, we're having a good conversation. I go, I don't know what you're talking about, but I think she's doing a lot better. Like, her speech is more slurred, but mentally, like, we are having like more in-depth conversations. Like, we're talking about lots of things, And it got better throughout the day, actually. I thought it was really good. It's actually getting really good. I started having more hope, like, oh, maybe things are working. All we can do is figure out if there's a blockage. We open that up. I mean, shoot, we might actually get out of here this week. And anyway, so they did an MRI. It took a long time. It took overnight before we got finally results. Later that day, they came in. They're like, all right, so we checked everything out. And unfortunately, there's no blockage. So there is no stint we can do. There's nothing. But basically, the cancer is taking over the liver so much that there are no things. There's no thing outside that could be treated or done. There's literally nothing we can do. But right now, your kidneys basically do not work, and neither does your liver. And we'll see what the oncology team says. I mean, but from the GI department, like, we cannot help you. I mean, the nurse knew. She was like, you guys understand what they're saying here? I'm like, I think we do. I think you're saying there's nothing more that can be done. And she's like, I'll help you decipher. But, like, there's nothing more that can be done. You know what I mean? And so, killed it. Oh my gosh, we went too long.
You know what? That one still has us.
Okay.
And that one.
Sounds good. So anyway, yeah. So we knew, and then the other team came in. They're like, "There's nothing more we can do," And she's totally alert and with it. And it's like, well, okay. We had some great conversations that day, and we're like, "So what do you think? Like, should we get the kids and bring them in?" And one doctor was like, well, it's not imminent. She's not going to die right now, And I'm like, yeah, but mentally, we're having conversations right now, and she's here. Mm-hmm. Like, this is good. It's not perfect, but it's good. And the one doctor was like, honestly, in some ways clueless of, like, what's going on. The nurse was like, yes, you should totally get your kids. Because I'll be totally honest with you, some of her blood work, and they're doing blood work every hour. She goes, some of her blood work are at levels that I have seen people just go into cardiac arrest. Like, her body is shutting down. And it's like, anything could happen. I don't think she's going to go tonight, but, like, you need to be, like, realizing. Then we have to talk about DNRs, do not resuscitate, do not intubate. And it's like, what happens if she goes into cardiac arrest overnight? What do you want us to do? Because I'm telling you clearly, we will have to do CPR. But she will have broken ribs. She'll be in so much pain. She will not make it 2 more days, So that's a crazy, surreal, like, fact. Something I never thought of. I mean, I've heard people like, oh, they got a DNR. It's like, why would you not want to keep on living if you could, Mm-hmm. It's like, well, that's the situations. It's like there is no more. There's nothing they can do. They try to keep you alive, but, like, you're not going to be here, So, man, we had to do a DNR. And Katie agreed. She was awake. She was like, yeah, it's fine. Yep. It's like, yeah, that's okay. Like, she had to help us make that decision, essentially. Because I did not want to say yes to that. I was like, this can't be, like, you sure there's, like, nothing, And it's like, there's nothing. So the one nurse was like, you can come after hours. It's fine. You can bring the kids down. It doesn't matter. So we had, and funny, I looked at the blood work later. And there was a moment where, like, the blood ammonia levels were climbing, like, the whole time. Like, it was, like, normal 3 weeks earlier, and it was, like, crazy. Yeah. while this is going on, which is what makes the mental confusion happen. And there was like 1 hour where it was starting to dip back down to earth. And that was like the moment when we had about 2 hours where it was like, this is the most clear talking I've heard yet. So we had a lot of good conversations, laughed a lot, all kinds of fun stuff. And just sat, she's in bed, you know, we're all around her, me, her brother, her mom, sister-in-law. So I went home, got the kids. Absolutely brutal. Up until then, they thought, Mommy's just sick. I mean, it's going to be okay. And we hoped that she would be okay. We certainly didn't think it was going to go this quickly when we went to the hospital a few days earlier. We thought we had, hopefully, years. I started to know over the past couple of weeks leading up to it. I was like, if this next chemo doesn't work, I don't know if she's going to make it a month, maybe a couple. But we didn't tell the kids this yet. And it's like, well, we got to see what happens. I never thought she would just mentally suddenly just not be there quite like she was. So went home, got the kids, told my parents who were watching, I go, I got to talk to the kids alone. Like, this is not good what's happening down here. And they didn't quite know what's going on. Yeah. And I sat them down and, oh my gosh, just imagine how hard and how difficult you think it would be. I'm telling you, it was like 10 times worse. It was the most brutal conversation I've ever had to have. All 4 kids, like, you know, Mommy's been in the hospital, she has cancer. You're aware of this, right? And they're like, yes, you know? And it's like, there's no easy way to say this, guys. Unfortunately, Mommy's not going to get better. And it's like, their world ended. I mean, wailing, crying. I mean, they're just crying so hard, and I'm crying. It's like, oh my gosh, you know. Eli's just pacing back and forth. He doesn't even know what to make of this. You know, he's just like, and it kind of hits him, you know. And I tell him, we're going to go. Mommy's awake. We're going to go down and see her, but it's the last time. Yeah. And, oh my gosh. That was so tough, so tough. Eli could not even make it. He's like, I don't want to be, is it going to be sad when we go down there? I go, it's going to be pretty sad, buddy. He's like, I don't want to go. I'm like, I think you should, you know, but I'm not going to make you go. But I really think you should go. He goes, I want to stay here. I don't want to go. I don't want to be more sad than I am right now, you know? I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't regret this the rest of my life. I go, well, we're going to go back in the morning too, you know? Well, I can ask you again tomorrow. Okay. So he stayed home with my parents. Took the 3 kids. Oh my gosh, the conversations on the way down there, so difficult. The whys, what can we do, you know? Crying, it was brutal, brutal. Went in there, saw her. She was awake, but you know, she was better earlier in the day. That's for sure. But we were able to talk to him one last time. She was there. She knew who everybody was. Not like she was totally gone. She just was glad to see him. And we kind of like said our goodbyes, and they knew like this was it. You may or may not see her tomorrow. I don't know that for sure. I don't even know if she's going to make it tomorrow. And I got to tell you guys, I don't know if she's going to make it overnight. We hope so, but I don't know that. But this is probably going to be the last time you get to talk to her. Oh, it was so painful. We made a video for the kids, like, that they could have, play, remember, like, I love you kids, you know, it's Mommy, you know, a little advice. Another video just for Eli that we made with Katie. And I started feeling sick. She's like, okay, like, I got to fall asleep now, you know. It was like, okay, kids. I drove them home. Oh, man, it was brutal. I went to bed, fell asleep for about 3 hours, and then Katie's mom called me back 2 o'clock in the morning and said, you got to come down. I'm like, oh, no, this is the end. And they're like, Katie is asking for you, and she also wants her dad, and he lives next door to us. You can go pick him up. It's time, you know. So, pick up her dad next door. We drive down. Her brother's down there. Her sister-in-law's down there. Her mom's there. And, 3 o'clock in the morning till about 5 o'clock in the morning. We talked. She was pretty good with it. Literally giving us our final marching orders of like, you know, she wants her brother to, he's a handy dude, builds stuff. I mean, very creative, welds, he's a welder. Yeah. She's like, I want you to teach my boys, like, you know, skills, you know. all kinds of things. All kinds of things that she wants me to do with the kids. You know, what to do in life. Killer. She's like, you're probably going to get married again one day. I'm like, stop talking about that. It's like, you gotta make sure you find a girl who loves Jesus. I'm like, well, naturally, I'm not no dummy, And she's like, yeah, no, that's important, I was like, I got good taste, And she goes, that's true, you do. I go, your taste is questionable, but we're laughing. We're having a good time. It was brutal, but we're crying, we're laughing. And then after a couple hours, it was like, okay. She's like, I am ready. I've said everything I need to say, and I'm pretty tired. And so it's like somebody came in to switch out a bag of fluids or something with some medicine in it, and she just like mid-sentence was like, we're not doing that anymore. We're done. And she's like, oh, okay. So no more fluids, no more nothing. I am tired. I am in some pain because I've been avoiding pain meds so I could talk as clear as I could up till the end. And she goes, I'm ready for the good stuff, whatever you got. So it's like, would you like morphine? It's like, yeah, that usually works, And that was it. It was 5:19 a.m. The comfort care began. It took about an hour to start taking effect, and that was the last time, really. That was it. So, and then that was a Thursday morning, and we thought, they're like, this could be hours, like it's that close. Yeah. She went 2 whole more days, hanging on there. We never left. I was like, I'm not leaving. Her mom's like, well, I'm not leaving. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going. Like, I don't want her to, like, suddenly wake up in the middle of something and give us one final thing to say. I can't have that. So we slept in that room. I had people still come and visit, family. Yeah, we stayed right till Saturday morning. Eli had a basketball game 10 minutes down the road, basically, from the hospital. And I said, he's got to come down. We're close to the end, really close. And he at first said no. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just worried he's going to regret this the rest of his life. But I don't want to drag him into it and like traumatize him a different way. Yeah. He said, all right, hand the phone back to Grandma, And as he was handing it back, he was changing his mind. I said, put him back on the phone. I can hear him, I said, you want to come down? He goes, yeah, I will. I'll come down. I said, all right, good. I'll come down to get you. Got her, played some videos for him of like the video we made for him a couple days earlier. She was sleeping, but she's there, And played that video, so it was like she was there talking. Played another video of Mommy talking to Eli at a birthday thing that we'd done earlier in the year for his 8th birthday back in October. And that was it. He was ready to. He did not want to be sad, and it was sad. And so he left, but he got to at least be there one last time. That was probably noon, 1 o'clock. He left, and then 3:05 p.m., that was her last breath. We literally were holding her hand while she went. It was brutal. And oh my gosh, the whole time in the hospital, it was just, the level of crying was like a hair trigger. It would take almost nothing, like just to think about something. Yeah. And I'm getting a little emotional now, but after that, during the calling hours and the funeral, it was like there was some closure in some ways. In a lot of ways, it feels like she's not. It doesn't even feel like she's gone. It was, today we bought a truck for an employee, and I just thought, I had this like passing moment of like, I'm gonna call Katie and tell her about the truck, and I was like, you still.
Man, the amount of people that you help by just being as strong as you are, and just hearing about your guys, specifically your faith to the end, and
yeah,
man, and like how Lydia was talking about her just pretty much preaching to them.
Those incredible moments. She was a very strong faith. Yeah. At times when I needed it, she was there. No, that was it. It's so surreal. And you just feel like you cry until you can't cry anymore. You feel like there's nothing left, and then you feel like you cannot cry for 10 hours straight. Eventually you run out and you go, I'm with it. And you feel like, I think I've gotten it all out. I feel like not crying.
Yeah.
And about an hour later, it's like the bottom falls out. Oh, man. But, something weird happened at that calling hours in the funeral. I just felt like, not like I don't care. I mean, that's not. But, I was able to keep it together, and I just was like, I just felt like I need to encourage other people. Like, of course, they're dealing with it fresh. I've been grieving for 4 months. The moment I knew this was cancer, I felt like my life was ending.
Yeah.
I felt like our life together it's ending. I know there is no 5 years from now.
Yeah.
I hope there's 2 years from now. I started feeling like optimistic, like 2 years would be incredible. Like we could do a lot in 2 years. Never thought it would be 4 months. So it kind of sneaks up on you fast. But I was like, I've been grieving this moment for a long time. It wasn't like as sudden as somebody, losing somebody in an accident. And like they're there one day and gone the next. That is a different type of pain that is harder for me to imagine.
I never had that perspective of specifically just, I never thought about the pain aspect of it.
Yeah.
When you're talking about that, it's...
Yeah. Yeah.
Knock on wood, I just...
Yeah. So I had a little bit of time to process in some ways. It didn't make it easier, I don't think, anyway, but it was like I knew this was coming. By the time the calling hours, funeral came, I don't know, man. I just was able to talk a lot easier about everything. People, for them, it's fresh. They're like, oh my gosh, the saddest event in the world. I'm like, I go, this is not easy, but, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
I go, we're going to be okay. Yeah. And, I think of like that time that you first saw us at that one meeting, and it's like, we just like, what's God doing in all this? It's got to be something. We saw God come through in amazing ways after. It's like, this is like a terrible tragedy. I don't know why. But, our life verse, me and Katie, from the beginning, talking 15 years or more ago, we both kind of lived by, the verse says, acknowledge the Lord in all your ways, and He'll direct your steps. It's like, as long as we just keep acknowledging God, like we just know that God's going to take care of us. It may not go any way which we hope or think it will. But I know it's going to be okay. It's going to be very tough right now, but it's going to be okay in the long run. I have no idea what that's going to look like, but I'm really confident that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I could have more tragedy. It's still going to be okay.
Yeah.
I worried earlier in the whole beginning of it's like, I don't want to tell people I know she's going to get healed and we're really full of faith and believing. I'm like, I'm worried about being embarrassed if it doesn't work out that way. I have personally gone down this road closely with other people that are friends. And it's like, we all want to believe, we all want to be very positive and hopeful. But I really don't like that feeling of looking dumb, It's like, what if it doesn't? It's like, there's a fine line, But in a lot of ways, I feel like I don't know that my faith has been shaken. My world has been rocked, but I have as much confidence now as I had 1 month ago and 5 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, God's good, and we're going to be okay, ultimately.
I really believe that the more tragic the event, the more power that you can have to find good out of it. And I said that before. You said that to me the other day when we spoke. It was like the day or so before. I was explaining to my kids. I'm like, don't get me wrong. The situation's horrible, but think about how many people just in the church alone that is so connected to this that they're everybody, including me. I've hugged her 1,000,000 times more just because of what I've witnessed, and it's like there's a lot more people than just me. My kids. Life is so temporary. And people need to act like it. Just we all take things for granted. Everyone.
Oh my gosh.
And,
I wish it could be more of for us that are still here on Earth, more of a celebration.
Yeah.
When people pass.
Yeah.
With us believing in God. I know some people don't.
Yeah.
But I think when people pass that I know or that I'm close with or love or anything, or our pets or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm very emotional and sensitive anyway, so I get hurt very easily with whatever happens, but I think of it as I think they're going to heaven. So
Right.
I'm more
Yeah.
okay, or not okay with it, but
Yep.
more at peace with it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Because I have full faith that I know where they're going.
That's right. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only comfort
Yeah.
in this, really. I'm 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Without that hope, that's
Man,
a brutal thought.
Oh, I appreciate you sharing this with us, man.
Yeah.
It means a lot to me. I think I'm at a point in my life right now where I need to hear this.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I
Yeah.
think a lot of people need to hear it
Yeah.
and know that no matter what happens, they're going to be okay. You
Yeah.
just have to.
Gotta have that.
Yeah.
You gotta have that attitude to even see the good things that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you can just think that just everything's terrible, and you're just gonna see everything as being terrible and only getting worse.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
We could all do it. We could all point at things and why our lives are just so
Yeah.
horrible and all, but
Yeah,
there's a lot of beauty out there.
absolutely.
I believe it.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh man. What are we at right now?
Oh boy, I don't know.
It's about 10 o'clock.
Oh my gosh.
No,
That's
that's completely.
Yeah.
Oh good. My parents are calling me about every 5 seconds. I'm like,
Aw.
you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go, it's going good. I hear you calling, but nope.
Ignore.
Well, yeah. I mean, we can always kill the record and just touch base for a couple
Yeah.
minutes, and I don't want to keep you too late.
It's all good. Yep.
I appreciate you more than you could ever
Yeah.
imagine. I was so nervous to even reach out to you, and I wanted to talk to you months ago and just
Yeah.
Yeah.
tell you how you've inspired me and my family. And I didn't because I'm so worried about judgment.
Oh, man.
I don't know, but
Nah, it's all good, man.
Yeah.
It's all
Not just
good.
us. I know you've inspired a lot more people than just us.
yes,
That's good. That's good to know.
kids too. A lot of kids.
Oh,
So
yeah.
mhm.
Good. Good. Well, boy, that's all part of the hopefully some good that can come out of this,
yeah,
So
just don't stop.
I guess I can't now. I got some pressure on me. So I've been on a big time podcast, so
One that burn out through an entire 128 gig SD card.
I'm shocked, yeah.
There was at least 60 gigs available on there. But
Yeah.
It is 4K.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate you and thank you very
Yeah,
much.
more
man.
than you know.
Oh good. Yeah, well.
Everybody watching, you have a good night and thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Beautiful.